Lost her the election. Let's turn to Chief White House correspondent James Rosen, who joins us from D.C. with more. James?
Rick, greetings from the White House. For her running mate, the vice president chose one of the most progressive governors in the United States. But ever since, to many eyes, the Democratic nominee has appeared more focused on winning over independents, centrists, and moderate Republicans. This final month of the campaign has seen the vice president stump more frequently with Liz Cheney, the hawkish former Republican leadership figure, than with any other politician. And even beyond such atmospheric signals, Ms. Harris's policy stance are generating mounting concerns among her base supporters. These concerns are crystallized in a New York Times story out today and headlined, "As Harris courts Republicans, the left grows wary and alienated." The vice president's tack to the right, support for Israel in the Gaza war, and incremental policy proposals, the paper reported, have alienated progressives and raised worries about waning liberal energy. She has centered her economic platform on middle-class issues like small businesses and entrepreneurship, rather than raising the minimum wage. She has taken a harder line stance on the border than has any member of her party in a generation, and she has talked more prominently about owning a Glock than about combating climate change. And even then, among liberals and progressives, no issue arouses more passion today, even anger, than Israel's conduct of the war against the terror group Hamas in Gaza, which has claimed tens of thousands of innocent lives and left the coastal Palestinian enclave in ruins.
This group of voters who are sort of basing their decisions around this election, not even in terms of vote choice, but do I turn out and vote? They're basing it on the war policies of the Biden-Harris administration.
I'm torn between voting for a third party and voting for Harris. If she came out and said said that we would stop sending arms to Israel, I think that would make me feel a lot better about my vote.
Harris campaign aides say they're not taking a single vote for granted, but allies are increasingly warning of the potential for a repeat of the fate in 2016 of Hillary Clinton. Rick?
Thank you, James. Joining me now is Republican strategist and host of 13-Minute News Hour, Bobby Eberle. Bobby, welcome to the 11th Hour Report. Your thoughts on Rosen's report. Do you think Harris's recent campaign moves, Liz Cheney emphasizing her time as prosecutor, highlighting her preference for tax breaks for entrepreneurs, apparently this might be turning off her more progressive supporters?
Yeah, I think it's a failure. And Rick, I appreciate being on. Full disclosure, I'm a diehard Astros fan out of Houston, so I hope this discussion goes well.
Get him out of here!
No, I know,
Give him
right?
the hook.
So here comes the hook.
You stole from us. You stole from Yankee fans.
Hey, man, no, I'm not going to get. That's for another day. But you know what she's doing now is it's just they're throwing things at the wall and hoping something hits. I mean, to bring out Liz Cheney, it's not so much appealing to a centrist demographic as it is a anti-Trump demographic. I mean, she can't say anything without that anti-Trump feeling coming out. So I think that falls flat right there. She's trying to be the centrist. I did like Rosen's comments about Walz trying to attract the middle, but these people are the farthest of the left, and it comes out as soon as there's any discussion about their actual record. You know, the voters, they understand that. And the thing is that they're trying to act centrist, but they're so they're not authentic at all. And that's where when Trump can go to a McDonald's, people just cheer and they have fun with it. They try a similar stunt like hunting in an Elmer Fudd outfit. I mean, it all falls flat because people see it as fake.
Well, Bobby, Democrats seem to be panicking, because not only is Harris down in the polls for electoral votes, she's also not doing well with the popular vote, where she was crushing it before. According to a recent New York Times Siena poll, the two candidates, as you may have heard earlier, are neck and neck. Is it possible that voters are actually now seeing Harris for what she is, a poser who can't answer a real question?
Well, I think it might be, because let me tell you what, you know, there was a concerted effort on the Republican side to get us out to vote early. But still, what we're seeing now with the numbers, the excitement, the enthusiasm out there, this could be a wave. And what's going to happen, right? You're going to have reports of this early voting, and in places like doing better in Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Arizona, Nevada. people will see that, and that momentum builds on itself. I was telling a friend earlier today, you know, you can have money, you can have charisma, you can have all these things that a campaign should have, but in this last home stretch, the gold of anything is momentum. And Trump has it for sure, and that's why Harris and Walz are just floundering.
Well, she's trying to turn it around. She's holding an anti-abortion rally with superstar Beyonce in the ruby red state of Texas tonight, just a week and a half before Election Day. One Harris official offered an explanation to Politico why their candidate is in Houston, saying, quote, "Texas is the stage and the audience is the battlegrounds." It definitely rests people's attention in a way that's hard to do by just going back to another battleground at this point in the cycle. This is our strategic way to break through the news. I hate to break it to the Harris campaign, but Beyonce performed with Hillary Clinton on the eve of the election back in 2016, and we all know what happened then, don't we?
Yeah, exactly. And we've seen these clips, you know, with Bruce Springsteen and others where people come to the rallies to see these entertainers and then they leave. I mean, what kind of optic is it when the candidate for president of the United States takes the stage and people are exiting the arena? And that's exactly what we've been seeing. And I know she's trying for some kind of viral moment because with hitting on social media, but her viral moments are exactly what the campaign doesn't need, because every time it's some word salad or some kind of evasion or inauthentic action, and her viral moments are just a dream for any Republican out there.
Yeah. We have time for one quick question and answer. Washington Post, for the first time since the 1980s, has decided not to make a presidential endorsement, and a few other left-supporting organizations like the LA Times and the Teamsters Union also opting out of endorsing anyone. They always endorse the Democrat. So what does this say about the Harris-Walz campaign?
Well, I think it's a lot easier to be a leftist, you know, when you can censor like they did in 2020. You can be woke, you can have DEI. But when the American people turn against all of those things and it looks like Trump might win, then you have to look at your bottom line, too. And that's what Bezos might be doing right there. And I know it's shocking that the Washington Post isn't doing that, but they might be seeing the bottom line right there.
Yeah, and Jeff Bezos wants a relationship with Donald Trump if he should win the White House. Bobby Everly, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks, Rick.
Just 11 days left until November 5th, and Donald Trump is not slowing down on the campaign trail. The former president having, as we mentioned, another rally, this time in Traverse City, Michigan. Senior correspondent John Huddy is in the battleground state. He was able to catch up with some rally goers today. John.
The last time when President Trump was here in Traverse City, actually at this exact location at the Cherry City Airport here for a rally, he was behind Joe Biden in the polls. Joe Biden was leading by almost 10 percentage points. Well, the difference between then and now is right now, as it stands, Trump and Vice President Harris are literally deadlocked. They are tied up in the polls here in Michigan. And while Trump carried Traverse City back in 2020, Joe Biden flipped the state blue. Well, voters here that we've been talking to and Trump supporters feel that Trump could certainly flip the state back red.
He's doing well, according to what we hear.
We see support for both the other side and the Trump side. And there are maybe equal number of signs if you just go by signage along the road. Yeah. But a lot of people that you talk to are, supporters.
I think so.
Go ahead.
I think I think a lot of people are upset and they want a change. And Harris doesn't pursue a change. He'll be the same old high prices and gas and groceries and everything else. It's just very high. We're on a fixed income, and I notice that. You go to the gas station, you go to get groceries, you don't buy as much because it's not there.
Yes, no, I agree with that. But I think the whole general atmosphere is leaning toward more that conservative. At least that's what I see from the people I know, the people that I talk to.
Here in the state, particularly.
Yes, here in the state, yes. And the people that you accidentally bump into when you're not necessarily saying I'm a Trump supporter, and then you get talking and they, I may go to a rally this afternoon. Oh, are you going to the Trump rally? Oh, I'm going to the Trump rally.
This time around, I think it's going to be pretty similar. And I see the enthusiasm level for Donald Trump to be probably higher than it was in 2020.
Both campaigns have been pouring resources into Michigan. Trump has seen an increase in the amount of support from union workers, particularly auto workers. His message really focused on the auto industry here in Michigan, while Vice President Harris continues to have a great deal of support among female voters, but she's losing support among Arab American voters. Whether Trump can garner support from that demographic remains to be seen, but what we are seeing is a lot of absentee ballots coming in, more than 1.3 so far, as early voting, in-person voting, starts here in the state of Michigan tomorrow on Saturday. Back to you.
John Huddy reporting from Traverse City, where Donald Trump is expected to take the stage any minute now. As soon as he does, we will take you there live and bring you his remarks in their entirety. We will be right back after this.
Are you getting everything from Medicare you deserve? You need Medicare for You. It reveals how to maximize benefits while improving your health care. Medicare for You shows you how to reduce costs, improve coverage, get procedures approved, and avoid 4 big mistakes and scams. Make sure Medicare works for you. Get Medicare for You at bookstores or see the free offer. Go online now or call today. Your health is too important to wait.
Are you having trouble hearing your TV or listening to conversations in loud spaces? Then it might be time to consider Nano hearing aids. Don't mistake Nanos for cheap amplifiers. Nanos are FDA-registered OTC hearing aids, which means no more having to go to a doctor and spend thousands. Nano hearing aids are now offering $100 off through this special TV offer. Order right now and get 2 CIC rechargeable hearing aids for only $297. And if you're not happy, return them for a full refund.
Have you ever considered getting a walk-in tub? Well, look no further. Safe Step's best offer just got better. Now, when you purchase your brand new Safe Step walk-in tub, you'll receive a free shower package. Yes, a free shower package. And if you call today, you'll also receive 15% off your entire order. Now you can enjoy the best of both worlds. The therapeutic benefits of a warm, soothing bath that can help increase mobility, relieve pain, boost energy, and even improve sleep. Or, if you prefer, you can take a refreshing shower, all in one product. Call now to receive a free shower package plus 15% off your brand new Safe Step walk-in tub.
Call now, 1-800-346-6061. There's never been a better time. That's 1-800-346-6061.
I was exhausted all the time, and I just didn't feel like myself. And then came the weight gain. I found out I was like millions of Americans whose thyroid gland wasn't functioning like it was supposed to. And that's why I started taking Actilin, a premium nutritional supplement. Actilin was created by renowned physician Dr. David Brownstein, formulated with 17 powerful ingredients to specifically support your thyroid function, adrenal health, and metabolism. And now, you can get a free bottle of Actilin with our special offer. Just pay a small shipping and handling charge. Plus, receive Dr. Brownstein's free special report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Thyroid. If you're experiencing loss of energy, cold hands and feet, dry skin, weight gain, or joint pain, Actilin may be right for you. Don't wait. Act now. Get your free trial bottle of Actilin, valued at $39.95.
Welcome back to the Leventhal Report. As we've been reporting, Israel was forced to delay a potentially retaliatory attack on Iran after details of their plans were leaked, apparently to the regime. We're now hearing that there are explosions in Tehran, and we're going to bring you more information on that as soon as we're able. In the meantime, we want to go to national correspondent Logan Raddick at the Pentagon, who's been tracking the latest developments on the breach of intelligence involving Israel and Iran. Logan.
Well, Israel is reportedly worried that even though no strike targets were named in that leak, the details that were exposed could help Iran predict patterns for Israel's inevitable attack. The documents were leaked on a Telegram channel that spreads Iranian propaganda. The Times of the UK reports that the IDF has come up with an alternative plan, but that it needs to wargame before proceeding. They quoted an unnamed intelligence source who said, quote, "The leak of the American documents delayed the attack due to the need to change certain strategies and components. There will be a retaliation, but it has taken longer than it was supposed to take." Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu told President Biden that the IDF strike will not include non-military sites. The Biden administration was lobbying Israel to avoid hitting oil facilities. But Hezbollah recently tried to assassinate Netanyahu with a drone strike on his home. Israel's now signaling that it may widen its retaliation plans against Iran as a result of that attack from one of its top proxies. And as Israel recoordinates its direct strike on Iran, which will come in response to Iran's direct attack on Israel back on October 1st, the FBI is investigating the alleged leak of documents that show Israeli military movements. Back to you.
Let's welcome in now Trump's former Deputy National Security Advisor and Vice President of the Davis Institute for National Security and Foreign Policy at the Heritage Foundation, Victoria Coates. Victoria, I don't know if your phone's blowing up right now like Tehran apparently is, but we're hearing reports of explosions in Iran. What, if anything, do you know about that?
Good to be with you, Rick. Yeah, hopefully my phone isn't going to be like a Hezbollah pager, but yes, there's a lot of traffic right now that Israel is striking around Tehran. The preliminary reports, which are, I would warn your viewers, almost always wrong, is that the strikes are at the Tehran airport, also at potentially a nuclear site. So we are just going to be watching really closely in coming hours and days. Again, this is a masterful action by Israel to, after the American intelligence leak over the weekend, to say, oh, we need lots more time. We're going to have to completely regroup, as Logan was just reporting. We have to do more war games and then go in and strike anyway. They really have been incredible on that.
They usually are, Victoria. But I am curious your thoughts on the intelligence leak, because if that's true, if it was someone inside the Pentagon, then it's traitorous and treasonous on some level, since Israel is an ally and Iran is technically an enemy of the United States.
Well, it really is. It's been, for those of us who supported the U.S.-Israel relationship under President Trump, really hard to watch. And I've talked to my Israeli counterparts repeatedly. It simply wouldn't have happened when we were there, because we had a policy of no surprises. And we could have disagreements, of course, everyone does. But we understood the overall value of the relationship. Unfortunately, you have a number of folks in the Biden-Harris administration, starting with Rob Malley, their disgraced special envoy for Iran, and Phil Gordon, who's Kamala Harris's national security advisor, who have been overtly pro-Iran for years. And, you know, these folks have created an atmosphere in which it's just fine to leak intelligence to the Iranians about the Israelis. But that makes the American people less safe.
I'm being told we might have to cut away, Victoria. I believe Donald Trump might be entering the arena or entering that location where... Oh, not that? Okay. Sorry, my producer's talking in my ear. You know, it's disheartening for a lot of people to see that the administration has not, from day one, talked about the hostages, focused on the hostages being held by Hamas, and rather focused on Israel having to somehow end the war and make peace with Hamas, even as they hold close to 100 hostages to this day. It's upsetting, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to a lot of people that the administration, first and foremost, especially considering there are Americans being held, or at least one, why wouldn't they say from day one, you need to release those hostages, and then we can talk about ending the war?
100%. And if I get bumped by the former president, Rick, I'm okay with that. So you do what you need to do. But on these terms, there was reporting today that Israel offered, literally this week, the head of Mossad offered to let senior leadership, what's left of it in Hamas, leave Gaza in return for the hostages, and the Hamas negotiators turned it down out of hand. And we've had reports about that when Sinwar was still alive. He did the same thing in April. So the administration has been putting pressure on the wrong group. How many hostages might still be alive? How many Americans might still be alive? How many Americans might be free if they hadn't been pressuring Israel rather than
حسین آتش سوزیه حسین
بد صدایی ها.
حسین آتش سوزیه حسین
بد صدایی ها.
حسين وانتش سوزيه حسين
عكس الأيام.
Syrian cities of Damascus and Homs. We've been waiting for Israel to respond to the missile attack by the Iranians against Israel, and that attack was delayed supposedly because of an intelligence breach, but it seems as if Israel is now firing back at Iran. We'll have more on this as soon as we get it. Meanwhile, former President Donald Trump stopping in Austin, Texas today to speak to voters there about his plans to secure the border, while a DPS drone team captured cartels loading hundreds of pounds of marijuana in the Lone Star State. Our border correspondent Jason Jones always gets the best footage, and he brings us more of that from Austin tonight. Jason.
Well, Rick, it's good to be with you. You know, it just never stops at our border, right? And not only that, we had the president today arriving in Austin, Texas, and he was surrounded by a lot of state officials as well, including Dan Patrick, the lieutenant governor, and others. And he was praising the state of Texas for their operations to hold the line against these cartels. I think we've got a clip here. Take a listen to what he had to say.
Very special. You've done an amazing job under the circumstances, but the federal government's supposed to be doing that job, and it should be easy, and it's not because of the people. But over the past 4 years, this state has become Kamala's staging ground to import her army of migrant gangs and illegal alien criminals into every state in America, and every state's a border state. You've heard that. It's true.
You know, and then the president came out and immediately started talking about Tren de Aragua and the impact of this transnational crime impacting the American public and the open border policies of Kamala Harris and President Biden. And he went into great detail, too. One of the things that I think was really important is that, you know, we cover on your program, Rick, all the time, all these impacts of Americans being impacted, killed, murdered, sexually assaulted. And he went into case by case, some of them that you and I'd never even heard of. And it really makes you realize the impact of how many Americans have been struck by this. And one of the most sincere moments in this was when the mother of that 12-year-old girl, Jocelyn Nungare, came up and spoke. And it was a very sentimental moment between the president and her, I think, of the entire event. You know, she was a 12-year-old who was brutally sexually assaulted. She was murdered, and then she was dumped by this Tren de Aragua gang. And the president was very sincere with her. I think that was by far the strongest moment of the entire event. But I will tell you this. He went on and on about the impacts to Americans. And now he's going to secure this border. He even mentioned Tom Homan, close friend of mine, someone he's going to bring back, and he's going to get it done, he says. Back to you, Rick.
Good for Donald Trump. Good for Donald Trump for actually talking about it. Kamala Harris won't talk about it. She won't talk about the border. She won't talk about the gang members who her administration allowed in, and she won't talk about what those gang members are doing to American citizens. You could ask her 5 times, and maybe after the 5th time, she'll say, oh, I feel bad for the families. Jason, you've interacted with those families. They're suffering.
Oh, they have, you know, and that's why I think that mom talking really impacted me the most, because I've been the guy that goes to your door, knocks on your door, tells you the person you love the most in the world is never coming home. and then watches these families fall apart. And then to see that mom, think of how strong she had to be. That's not her normal role, to come on the national stage, sit next to a man running for president once again, and then look over that audience and the entire nation. They're not used to this world of talking like that. So there's a lot of bravery there, especially as they're trying to pick up the pieces of their life. Because listen, I don't care what anybody says, for the rest of their life, they'll always look at those highway patrolmen and those lawmen, those law enforcement officers differently every time they see one the rest of their lives, and remember that knock at the door. So, God bless her and the families out there who are suffering with this, because here's why. Rick, it's absolutely unacceptable. It should have never happened, because they were never allowed in the country in the first place, and they should have never been here.
So right. Jason Jones, thanks again for your terrific reporting. Try and have a good weekend, will you? When the 11th Hour Report returns, we're going to bring you some of the other stories we've been following today, and also keeping an eye on the Traverse City rally, where Donald Trump is expected to begin speaking sometime in the next few minutes. And as soon as he does, we will take you there live. We'll be right back.
Hi, folks, we're back. If you've been injured in an accident that's not your fault and you don't have an attorney, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to answer your questions and tell you what your case is potentially worth. Pick up the phone, call now.
Whether because of discomfort, lack of mobility, your lifestyle, or occupation, you sit inactively way too many hours a day. Introducing Ellipse, the premium quality automatic seated exerciser that strengthens legs, increases mobility, and boosts circulation without physical strain or impact.
It is so quiet that none of my coworkers even know I'm using it.
Strengthen and tone your legs, increase your mobility, flexibility, and balance, plus stimulate healthy circulation.
My joints feel better, my knees feel better, my back feels better. It makes me feel stronger too.
Perfect for home therapy. Whisper quiet to use while you work.
My circulation is moving, I'm burning calories, and it makes me feel energetic.
Call now and order Ellipse, the seated exerciser that strengthens legs, increases mobility, and boosts circulation. Call and get upgraded to the Deluxe Bundle. Get the faster motor or 5 miles of steps per hour, the step counter, the sport mat, and wireless remote. Call now.
Hi, folks, we're back. If you've been injured in an accident that's not your fault and you don't have an attorney, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to answer your questions and tell you what your case is potentially worth. Pick up the phone, call now.
Whoa. And one day all of this will be yours. Thank you. Don't worry, that's not all I'm leaving you. I just called and got a guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance policy for less than $7 a month. It'll help cover my final expenses.
Oh, Mom, you're not going anywhere.
I wasn't planning on it.
If you are between the ages of 45 and 85, you are automatically qualified for up to $25,000 in life insurance coverage. There are no health questions and no medical exams. You can't be turned down due to health. Your acceptance is guaranteed. Policies start at just $6.38 per month, with most benefits paid in as little as 24 hours. And best of all, your rate will never increase, and your coverage will never decrease. That's our Rate Lock Guarantee. Help protect the ones you love. Get a policy with a budget-friendly monthly premium and up to $25,000 in life insurance.
The thing about life insurance is it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. Because once you need it, it's too late.
Now is the time to call the number on your screen and lock in your rate. Leave your family with a financial protection to help cover funeral costs, medical bills, or to use however they need. Give yourself the peace of mind knowing you've done all you can to help the ones you love.
Did you find what you needed?
Thanks, Mom, I did. It sounds like you did, too.
You know I'm going to make sure you have everything you need.
And then some.
Call the Guaranteed Life Insurance Helpline today. Get your guaranteed acceptance policy and lock in your guaranteed rates. You can't be turned down.
Don't delay. Call 800-205-4859. That's 800-205-4859. 800-205-4859. Call now.
Welcome back to the Leventhal Report. I'm Rick Leventhal, and breaking right now, Israel launching a series of airstrikes against targets in Iran. In Tehran, several explosions have been reported. Retaliation for the wave of ballistic missiles Iran fired at Israel. Interesting that the New York Times says this raises fear that the Middle East could escalate into an all-out war. Well, maybe Iran shouldn't have fired missiles at Israel in the first place. We're going to keep an eye on what's happening in the Middle East and bring you updates as available. In the meantime, while we wait for former President Donald Trump to take the stage in Traverse, Michigan, he is also hosting a rally at the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden in New York City, this Sunday, just 9 days before Election Day. The history-making venue, known for its big-name guests, like Pope Francis in 2015 or Marilyn Monroe singing Happy Birthday to JFK back in 1962, not to mention pretty much every single one of the greatest recording artists of our time, along with some pretty good basketball teams, all at the world's greatest arena. Host of Sunday Report, John Glasgow, takes a closer look at that.
Known as the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden, located in the heart of New York City, home to history over the last 60 years, like in 1962, when Marilyn Monroe serenaded the president.
Happy birthday, Mr. President. Happy birthday to you.
Years later, the pontiff paid a visit. The iconic building brought together a nation after 9/11, Americans leaning on one another in a time of mourning. MSG crowned champions, paid homage to kings, and celebrated political figures.
We just rented Madison Square Garden.
This Sunday, the man who built his empire in the Big Apple will hold a political rally with 18,000 people, supporters of perhaps the biggest brand yet, Make America Great Again.
Kamala, you're fired. Get out of here. You're fired.
It comes 9 days before November's historic election. Manhattan will be a sea of red on Sunday, as Trump makes a push for a state that's gone blue the last 40 years.
I will crush the violent crime and give our police the support, protection, resources, and the respect that they deserve.
This rally follows two others in New York, one in the Bronx, another on Long Island. But this one will be much bigger and more consequential. Not far from MSG, a jury found Trump guilty of falsifying business records earlier this year, and the streets outside are a talking point of his campaign. Either way, the former president is hoping to write one more chapter of this building's lasting legacy. For Newsmax, I'm John Glasgow.
Very cool. Let's check in with co-host of Wise Guys, Kara Castronova, who hit the streets of New York to see how New Yorkers are feeling about Trump's return to the Big Apple.
Former President Trump is campaigning here in the Big Apple on Sunday, despite a recent poll showing him down 19 points to Vice President Harris in New York. So I went to some of New York's most famous boroughs to hear from locals if Harris has their vote locked up. And as always, I was very surprised by what I found.
I'm gonna tell you my opinion. I like this guy Trump because the last 4 years with Mr. Biden, it was big problem in economy, you know, and we have problem with migrants, you know, this big problem. There's a lot of people here in this area in Brooklyn, especially Arab people, they're gonna vote for Trump. Yeah.
We're in the most Muslim dense area of Brooklyn, New York, and a lot of people are saying they're voting for Trump.
Yes, Trump.
I support Trump.
You support Trump?
Yes. Trump 2024.
Yes,
where are you from?
Yemen.
From Yemen?
Yes.
And who are you voting for this year?
Trump.
Why are you voting for Trump?
Good man, it's good president.
Good president?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We need Trump back. I bet you all the Palestinians Americans in this country that they want to vote for Trump and they want Trump. I'm telling you, most of them are positive about Trump to become the president because he promised to stop this mad war. He promised that he will stop all the wars.
Do you think that Trump is better for the black community than Kamala is?
Honestly, yeah, she sent us to jail. And that's messed up because I smoke a lot of weed, man. I can't be out here getting locked up for weed, man. Vote for Trump, best president ever.
I'm going for whoever is an advocate for promoting the right to bear arms for our community, because it's not fair that the politicians get to carry, like Kamala Harris. Didn't she say she carrying?
Yeah.
Right? Right or wrong? She ain't say she have her own gun?
Yes.
So what makes her different than the minority in our community, too? I'm going to go with Trump.
I missed the Trump tweets, Donald. Yeah.
You missed so you like Trump's tweets?
Yeah, I love his tweets.
I'm probably going to vote for Trump. Robert Kennedy does endorse him to bring back the American middle class, that a family can support a full family on a single income home is the American dream again.
I'm not voting for Kamala Harris because apparently she just wants to put every Tom, Dick, and Harry in women's sports.
Super excited for Trump and his presidency. He's for women. He wants to bring the abortion rights down to the states, as they should.
Kamala Harris is no good for us. Trump, he's our guy. Y'all want to get taxed? Get Kamala Harris. If y'all don't want that tax, y'all get Donald Trump. He's going to take care of us.
Are you going to be at this rally in Madison Square Garden?
I'll be at the rally for my boy Donald Trump. I hope he sees this, and I'm here for Donald Trump. You heard me?
Reporting for Newsmax in New York City, I'm Kara Castronova.
Thanks, Kara. We're continuing to follow breaking news out of the Middle East, where Israel is now firing on targets in Iran. We're going to gather some more information and bring it to you right after this next break, so stick with us.
Any disaster, electrical power may get cut. The emergency radio gives you the vital information you need. Newsmax wants you to have the Dynamo Emergency Band Radio. It doesn't need batteries and works in any emergencies. It retails for $30. You can get it with the free offer. Call or go online and get the emergency radio today. Your life may depend on it.
Attention families with a loved one in a nursing home. If your loved one has suffered from bed sores, falls, broken bones, dehydration, or even death, you may be entitled to a substantial settlement. If you have a loved one who is injured in a nursing home, we will find out what happened. State violations are found against nursing homes every day. You have a limited time to file your claim, so don't wait. Call 800-710-5444 and speak with one of our attorneys. The call is confidential and free.
We thought we had more time. No one was expecting my husband Dave to suffer from a heart attack in the middle of his workday. We didn't have life insurance, and on top of the grief, there were so many bills to pay.
My dad's name was David. He always talked about getting life insurance, but never did. And now, it's too late.
My dad? We like to call him Big Dave. Just never woke up one Tuesday morning. The grief, the bills. I still can't believe my parents didn't have life insurance.
Don't be Dave, and don't wait until it's too late to get the life insurance coverage you need. The average funeral costs $10,000, and if you don't have enough insurance to cover funeral costs, credit card debt, and other expenses, your family is going to get stuck with the bill. Don't let that happen. The phone lines are now open. Call now to get affordable life insurance, and your acceptance is guaranteed.
Just call.
Call 800-294-4718.
If you're over 50, you can't be turned down for this insurance, regardless of your health. Plus, there's no medical exam and no health questions. Your rate will never go up. Your coverage will never go down. And rates start as low as $5 a week.
Just call.
Call 800-294-4718.
Your coverage begins as soon as your application is received. Don't wait until it's too late. Remember, don't be Dave. Call now. The call is absolutely free, and there is no obligation to enroll. Call right now. Acceptance is guaranteed. Call right now.
Call now.
Call 800-294-4718. That's 800-294-4718.
If you could help reduce the urge to go to the bathroom due to your aging prostate, if you could improve your energy levels because you're getting a better night's sleep, would you? Of course you would. And now you can, with the help of Prostate Revive, the premium dietary supplement for men whose lives, sleep, and energy levels are affected due to the concerns of an aging prostate. It was specially formulated for men by noted medical doctor, Dr. David Brownstein.
Prostate Revive is really about healthy aging. It contains a plant sterol called beta-sitosterol, combined with 15 other important ingredients. Prostate Revive's exclusive formula helps promote normal prostate function, and that means you can reduce the urge to go and finally get a good night's sleep.
Here's how you can try Prostate Revive risk-free.
Simply call or visit our website now and we'll send every new customer a risk-free 30-day trial of Prostate Revive. You discovered the low shipping and handling. This is a $39.95 value, so don't delay. Call or go online today.
Welcome back to the Leventhal Report. I'm Rick Leventhal. We've been promising to take you to Traverse, Michigan for Donald Trump's rally. He has not yet taken the stage. They were playing a video a short time ago. When he does, you will see it live here on Newsmax 2, or at least that's the plan. But we also have breaking news out of the Middle East. It is about 3 a.m. in Tehran, and Tehran is under fire right now, early Saturday morning Iran time. The Israeli military launching strikes early this morning in Israel as well on military targets in Iran, officials said. Not immediately clear what these targets are. The Iranian state media has been reporting the sound of explosions around Iran's capital, Tehran, without immediately elaborating on where those explosions are. And often, as Victoria said earlier in this show, first reports turn out to be wrong. We don't want to be wrong. All we know is there are explosions in Iran at this hour. Some reports of explosions at or near the airport, but it is unclear what has been hit and what the Israeli military is targeting. Now, the Israeli military released a statement that reaffirms that Israel, quote, has the right and the duty to respond. The statement goes on to say the regime in Iran and its proxies in the region have been relentlessly attacking Israel since October 7th on 7 fronts, including direct attacks from Iranian soil. Remember that Iran fired 2 barrages of missiles at Israel. The Israeli statement did not elaborate on the targets. Again, we reported that. Iranian state television identified some of the blasts as coming from air defense systems without offering more details. So what we know is Israel is now finally responding to the missile attack from Iran by firing back at Iran. But details on what they've hit and how bad the damages might be are still forthcoming. So we will keep you posted as best we can here on Newsmax 2. We're going to take you live now to the spokesman for the Israeli Defense Forces who is speaking at this hour. Let's listen in.
Is conducting precise strikes on military targets in Iran. The regime in Iran and its proxies in the region have been relentlessly attacking Israel since October 7th on 7 fronts, including...
Hi folks, we're back. If you've been injured in an accident that's not your fault and you don't have an attorney, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to answer your questions and tell you what your case is potentially worth. Pick up the phone, call now.
Following the assassination of President William McKinley in September of 1901, Theodore Roosevelt, at age 43, became America's youngest president ever. Born on September 27, 1858, to a wealthy family of Dutch origin, Teddy, as the world would know him, overcame a sickly childhood with debilitating asthma by advocating a strenuous lifestyle. In 1876, he entered Harvard, joined the rowing team, and later graduated magna cum laude. Following graduation, he married Alice Hathaway. In 1881, Teddy joined the Republican Party and was elected to the New York State Assembly. Following the unexpected deaths of his wife, who died during childbirth, and his mother, both on Valentine's Day 1884, Roosevelt retreated to the seclusion of his Dakota ranch and soon became a cowboy. 2 years later, he would wed his childhood sweetheart, Edith Carroll. He had a monumental career in politics, serving as New York City's police commissioner and even Assistant Secretary of the Navy. During the Spanish-American War of 1898, Colonel Roosevelt volunteered and rode to fame as commander of the Rough Riders, defeating a larger force up the famed San Juan Hill in Cuba. By then, Roosevelt was a national hero. Returning from the war, he was quickly elected governor of New York and then picked by President McKinley to be his running mate in 1900. After President McKinley's death in 1901, now President Theodore Roosevelt became known for speaking softly but carrying a big stick, especially when it came to dealing with Japan and Germany's emergence on the world stage. His big stick turned out to be America's new modern and powerful Navy. He called it the Great White Fleet and had it tour across the globe. On the home front, he broke up the nation's trusts, stamping out monopolies that sought to dominate America's business and political life. He also became the nation's first environmental crusader and was known for expanding our national parks and protecting over 150 million acres of forests. While serving as president from 1901 to 1909, he received the Nobel Peace Prize for his efforts to end the Russian-Japanese War. Roosevelt didn't run for a third term, but left that for William Howard Taft. Taft won, but disappointed Roosevelt, who in 1912 decided to challenge his one-time friend under the Progressive or Bull Moose Party. Roosevelt lost and even suffered an assassination attempt in Milwaukee. Following that attempt, with a bullet still in his chest, he finished his speech without interruption before receiving needed medical attention. Theodore Teddy Roosevelt died in his sleep on January 6, 1919, one of America's most celebrated presidents. Today, he can be found among our greatest on Mount Rushmore. You're watching An American Life on Newsmax TV.
Tonight, buyer's remorse. Democrats publicly wishing that they had Joe Biden back after Kamala's disastrous appearances this week. We'll watch Bruce Springsteen screeching off-key in a terrible endorsement performance. And I'll tell you why the Kamala collapse will keep getting worse. Plus, the Trump mass exodus. Watch the president outline his plans to get illegal alien criminals the hell out of our country. And Elon on the trail. Watch this American icon fighting for our future in a series of Pennsylvania town halls. Another look inside the mind and heart of the world's richest man. All that and much more. The Pulse starts now. Good evening, friends, and welcome to The Pulse. I am David Harris Jr. Well, we are live for President Trump's rally in Michigan, and we'll watch his full speech as soon as he takes the stage. The president has been working nonstop, holding multiple rallies each day to make his case to the American people. And remember, the way to win is by voting early. We'll also update you with any new information we have about Israel's strike on Iran. Explosions have been reported in and around the Iranian capital of the Iranian capital of Iran, as well as the northern part of the country. The attack is reportedly ongoing. Israel calls the strikes a response to continuous attacks from Iran. We'll have much more on this story as we get the facts. Meanwhile, here in America, Democrats are having buyer's remorse over Kamala's collapsing campaign. I want to talk about that with our first guest tonight, Republican strategist Luke Ball. Luke, thank you for joining the show this evening. You got to just scratch your head at some of the things the Democrats are doing right now. I think the Democrats' disappointment with Kamala Harris was articulated well by the businessman Kevin O'Leary on CNN. Let's watch this. I want to get your take.
Only 90 days ago, Pelosi went to Biden and said, you need to step aside, and convinced him to do so. He made the decision, and he did actually ask her, and we've now learned this, is she the right person to drive this home? He questioned that. He could have said, we need to run a process in order for me to make this move. But they decided not to. I don't know who they is. Was it Obama? Was it Pelosi? I don't care who it was. In stock picking, just listen to this analogy. And you may agree, you may not. 88% of managers, because this is the world I live in, cannot beat the S&P year in, year out. So you give them $1,000, the S&P beats them. They can't pick stocks. This is the second time the Democratic Party has circumvented democracy and chose.
That's not true.
Yes, it is. Hillary
We've
Clinton
gone through this before.
Hillary Clinton was chosen, and she had Bruce Springsteen too. And what happened to her? And now we've chosen.
Kevin, Hillary Clinton won a primary. Okay, she won a primary. You may not.
Nobody could compete with her, even Bernie Sanders.
She won a primary.
Okay.
First of all, that's the first
So
thing.
did Kamala Harris win a primary?
Listen, we've talked about this before.
What's wrong about talking about it tonight after what you just saw?
Do you think that's really what matters to voters?
Right now.
How many Democrats wish?
Hold on.
Hang on a second.
Let's talk about what matters to voters. Do you really think voters care about the internecine primary process?
If you're a Democrat, you sure as hell care today.
Wow. Do you think Democrats really care about the intricacies of a primary and what should be a nomination before you actually get to run for president of the United States? Luke, what is going on here with this meltdown?
Well, that panel sounded like Donald Trump Jr. had just walked onto the set of The View. They couldn't even handle a discussion, a back and forth. And Kamala Harris is not the right person for the Democrats to try and bring this home. You know, she ran for the Democratic nomination, and she did so great that she got a whopping 3% at the height of her campaign. And she had to run so far to the left of her party that she alienated an enormous amount of Democrats who were present there. Joe Biden added her onto the ticket, and that was the only reason that she was the next in line to be coming up into the Democrat nomination. She did not win a single vote in the Democratic primary. She was the one who said that we have to get rid of fossil fuels, get all cars with gas off the streets by a certain date, transition energy workers to the jobs of the future, whatever the heck that means, making sure that we don't drill anymore, that we institute a Green New Deal, reduce red meat consumption, get rid of plastic straws. All of these ridiculous radical policies she was hoping would conjure up the progressive base did not do that with the progressives, and it also alienated all of the middle of the road Democrats who didn't want to see that sort of thing happen to their party. But now she's at the top of the ticket, and that sugar high we experienced once she was swapped out after Joe Biden stepped aside has started to come down a little bit, and you're starting to see the polls cross each other. Now Donald Trump in the home stretch is surging a little bit, and Kamala Harris is going down in her own party. She doesn't have the support of the middle-of-the-road Democrats, and she's tried to walk that line so hard that she's even alienated the progressives that might have turned out to vote for her. She's in an impossible position because of the state of the Democratic Party, but she is not the person, she is not the moment, she is not the one that's supposed to bring this home for the Democrats.
Yeah, I don't see why she was selected, other than the fact that in order to use that massive war chest that Joe Biden had amassed, they had to stay with whoever was already on the ticket with him. And that's why I think she's the one that's running for the Democrats. I think that President Trump is going to have a lot more to say about Kamala Harris at his rally tonight. We'll take it live there, friends, as soon as he takes the stage. But first, let's watch how he called Kamala Harris an international joke at his rally last night.
Kamala Harris does not have the compassion, the intelligence, or the strength the presidency needs. I know what it needs. You meet some people. Among the worst that you're going to meet, though, are in our country. I call it the enemy from within. She can't do the job. She can't put two sentences together. She's an international joke. Every country is joking about how stupid our leadership is, from Biden to Kamala. They're a joke all over the world. She's going to end up getting us into World War III, just like he would if he stayed any longer. And on top of it all, she says she would not do one thing differently from crooked Joe Biden, which in itself is totally disqualifying.
Luke, it should have been disqualifying for her to just admit multiple occasions that she wouldn't have done anything differently these last 3.5 years than Joe Biden did. Yet it seems like the legacy media talking points, the talking heads, the hosts, they just want us to forget the last 3.5 years and just act like she's the greatest thing since sliced bread. What are your thoughts?
They want us to forget it's why Joe Biden's not on the campaign trail with Kamala Harris. It's for the same reason you don't put lead in a life jacket. That would drag you down very, very quickly. But Kamala Harris owns the failures of the last 4 years. It has been the Biden-Harris administration. And even the things that she's been tasked with, like being the border czar, she has completely failed at. I love the media back and forth saying that she was never the border czar. And then we can cut to a chyron from the same network 2 and 3 years ago saying that she was appointed as the border czar. And their excuse for this, oh, well, she was just supposed to go and interact with some of the countries where all of these people were coming over from. Okay, it didn't do anything. It didn't help. It didn't stop. These folks were coming in with signs saying, Biden, let us in. This was her administration. All of the failures that we have experienced, from the economy to foreign affairs to our border crisis, has been because of Kamala Harris. And her whole campaign right now is running television ads saying that we need to chart a new path forward. And my question is, a new path forward from what? You are in office right now. You could pick up the phone and speak with the president and try to change policies or implement policies or have particular initiatives. Even go out there and just saying things like, you know, Joe Biden did this one way, but I'm going to do something a different way. I don't see why the Democrats would be so turned off by that. But the fact is that she owns everything from the last administration and her fingerprints are all over it. She said that she was the last person in the room from the disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal. The low point of our country for the last few decades, as President Trump has said, and I wholeheartedly agree with him. It showed the rest of the world that we were on our knees. And from that moment, we started to see a domino effect. We started to see things happening around the world that showed that America was no longer in charge. Even as we speak right now, we have unrest in the Middle East. Why? Because we don't have strong leadership that is giving us the foreign affairs support that would allow America to be on the forefront of the world stage. Under Donald Trump, we didn't have this. We had the Abraham Accords. But under Kamala Harris, we have unrest in the Middle East. We have Russia pouring over into Ukraine. We have countries that are laughing at us. So I completely agree with the president, President Donald Trump, that Kamala Harris is the laughingstock of the world, and America will be the laughingstock of the world for 4 more years if she's elected president.
And you know that these other dictators of these countries that would love to see the demise of America, they've got to just be chomping at the bit, just hoping that Kamala Harris becomes commander-in-chief. Can you imagine Kamala Harris trying to negotiate with Putin or with Xi or with any of these countries that just respect leadership and strength, but see Kamala as, I believe, the puppet, the DEI hire that she is? What do you think the next 4 years would look like underneath Kamala Harris and Tim Walz? Which, by the way, that should have been just a telltale sign right there. I actually had a conversation with my neighbor tonight. It's like, why in the world wouldn't anybody hold Kamala's feet to the fire over choosing Tampon Tim Walz as her VP? Tell me, make sense of it. Make sense of it, Luke.
Well, David, if she can't negotiate with Joe Rogan, if she can't negotiate with friendly reporters at home, then just imagine how she's going to be sitting across from Vladimir Putin. She's going to be saying, Ukraine is a country. A country is a state with borders. Borders are things that we put up around those countries. She's going to be explaining geography to our world adversaries. They're not going to take her seriously. I mean, any time that she's not behind a teleprompter, she just falls all over the place. I think that's the reason she didn't go on Joe Rogan. She said there was a scheduling conflict, but to be honest, it's just because they couldn't FedEx a teleprompter from Washington, D.C. all the way over to California in such a short period of time. And to the foreign affairs issues that we keep bringing up because it's so prevalent, I think that we could literally avoid World War III by electing President Donald Trump. This whole Middle East crisis, I continue to go back to this. Under Trump, we had the Abraham Accords. We had people actively working to restore peace in the Middle East. And all that time, while there was these hostile forces on each side, we still moved the embassy to Jerusalem. And so now we come to the Biden-Harris administration, and they're calling Israel, trying to negotiate from a position of weakness, saying, well, maybe you need to capitulate a little bit to your adversaries. Maybe you need to give up a little bit of ground to the terrorists. And Israel must be looking at the United States like we've never cracked open a history book in our entire lifetime. Because if Israel laid down their arms tomorrow, there would be no peace in the Middle East. They would be completely annihilated. But if the adversaries surrounding Israel laid down their arms, then we would have peace in the Middle East. So the United States is coming to Israel saying, why don't you just go and negotiate with terrorists a little bit? Why don't you just go to the Arab nations that are surrounding you, who at their 1960s conference, this League of Nations came together and said we'd have no negotiations, we would have no peace and no recognition of the state of Israel. And Israel's looking at the United States going, you're supposed to be our greatest ally on the face of the planet, and you're telling us we have to negotiate with terrorists? I mean, come on. So pattern after pattern we have seen over the last 4 years that the Biden and Harris administration has presented weakness on the world stage when the United States should be leading from the front. And my hope is that once President Trump comes back into office, we will start seeing people retreat. We'll start seeing Putin go back to Russia. We'll start seeing a lot of more peace around the world because they will know America is back in charge. And frankly, they just might not know what Donald Trump would do if they decided to cross the United States.
Well, and that's exactly why I believe we had peace when he was in office. Everything that you're sharing, from the Abraham Accords to Russia not invading Ukraine to going and stepping foot inside of North Korea. I mean, it's just landmark after landmark shows peace through strength is what works. And let's show this. The Kamala's celebrity warm-up acts, absolutely ridiculous. They've been off-putting and absolutely played out. Last night, she had Bruce Springsteen perform at a rally, and it was a train wreck. Let's watch how off-key and off-tempo that performance was.
Say you gotta stay hungry. Well, I'm just about starving tonight. I'm dying for some action. I'm sick of sitting around here trying to write this book. I need a love reaction. Come on now, baby, give me just one look. You can't start a fire sitting around crying over a broken heart. This gun's for hire. Even if we're just dancing in the dark, you can't start a fire worrying about your little world falling apart. This gun's for hire. Even if we're just dancing in the dark. Even if we're just dancing in the dark.
Oh, man. Goodness gracious. That right there, that was par for the course for Kamala. I mean, her word salad sandwiches that she delivers on a regular basis, that was pretty much put into song and trying to make music by Springsteen. Who in her camp thought that would be a good idea? Did they not have him sing something beforehand to make sure he could still sing and play? Or is it just kind of the aura that surrounds the Kamala campaign that everything pretty much sounds and turns to poop?
Well, that was absolutely horrific, and it's unfortunate they don't have auto-tune at some of these major rallies. But I honestly think that they're having to haul out Hollywood and these rock stars and people like that because the Harris campaign is like, we need to AstroTurf what we're doing here. I mean, the people that show up to these rallies just to hear the music and then leave afterwards, that just demonstrates that she doesn't actually have the support. And the other side of this is that you mentioned that Nancy Pelosi goes to Joe Biden and intervenes behind the scenes. Hollywood did as well. George Clooney went behind the scenes and tried to negotiate some support for Kamala Harris and having Joe Biden step aside. So they feel like they own this switcheroo, and now they're trying to come behind them and support as much as they can and bring out the star power. But star power does not translate to people going out and voting, just like yard signs don't translate to people winning elections. It's just simply not the equivalent. So unless they are able to articulate a very strong argument as to why the Harris-Walz ticket is way better than the Trump-Vance ticket, they're not going to get across the finish line. And the other part of this too is that Hollywood is trying to impose these progressive California values on the rest of America. I just said this on a show on Newsmax just a few hours ago how in California they will propose ridiculous left-wing policies because that state is the petri dish for the rest of the nation. Whatever the state legislature or Gavin Newsom tries to put out in California, that is the blueprint for the rest of the United States of America. It's their way to try to start to slowly, in the hearts and minds of the American people, throw out something ridiculous so that then they can bring something a little less ridiculous and get their agenda accomplished across the rest of the nation.
That's exactly what it is. Sorry, Luke, man, I'm running out of time. I love what you're sharing. You're speaking truth, and hopefully the American people are hearing it and hearing it loud and clear, a lot clearer than Bruce Springsteen. Luke Ball, thank you, my brother, for joining us tonight.
Take care, man.
Coming up, President Trump outlines his plan for mass deportations, and it's everything that we've been waiting for. I'll tell you how I think how he should do it next.
360,000 pounds of thrust hurled the massive rocket and its occupant into space and America's history books. John Glenn became the fourth human being to enter space and the first American to orbit the Earth. For his remarkable heroism, President Kennedy awarded Colonel Glenn NASA's Distinguished Service Medal.
As our knowledge of this universe in which we live increases, may God grant us the wisdom and guidance to use it wisely. Thank you, Colonel.
Glenn went on to become the United States Senator from Ohio, and in 1984 ran for the Democratic presidential nomination, but lost to Walter Mondale.
They line up by the thousands, each one with a story that breaks your heart. Like Rivette, every step brought her pain. Their only hope, Mercy Ships, the largest floating civilian hospital in the world, bringing free surgeries to people who have no other hope. $19 a month will help provide urgently needed surgery for so many still suffering. So don't wait. Call 888-448-7689 or donate at mercyships.org.
I was exhausted all the time, and I just didn't feel like myself. And then came the weight gain. I found out I was like millions of Americans whose thyroid gland wasn't functioning like it was supposed to. And that's why I started taking Actilin, a premium nutritional supplement. Actilin was created by renowned physician Dr. David Brownstein, formulated with 17 powerful ingredients to specifically support your thyroid function, adrenal health, and metabolism. And now, you can get a free bottle of Actilin with our special offer. Just pay a small shipping and handling charge. Plus, receive Dr. Brownstein's free special report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Thyroid. If you're experiencing loss of energy, cold hands and feet, dry skin, weight gain, or joint pain, Actilin may be right for you. Now, get your free trial bottle of Actilin, valued at $39.95.
Welcome back, friends, to The Pulse. I am David Harris Jr. Well, we could be just months away from the biggest deportation effort in American history. Last night, President Trump said that he's ready to do it. All he needs are the votes.
Immediately upon taking the oath of office, I will launch the largest deportation program in American history. I will rescue every town across America that has been invaded and conquered, and we will put, and that's true, think of the words, towns that have been invaded and conquered. They've been conquered. They've been conquered. And a lot of, it's not everybody's Aurora where they're talking about it. We have many towns that are in the same position and worse, but they don't want to talk about it. It's out of control. And we have a lot of towns that haven't yet been infected, but they're petrified that they will be, and they will be. And we will put these vicious and bloodthirsty criminals in jail or kick them the hell out of the country so fast.
It's exactly what needs to be done. Joining us now is the host of the Leventhal Report, Rick Leventhal. Rick, thanks for joining this evening, my brother. What are your thoughts on the fact that President Trump is actually willing to say and show and tell the country how he'll handle these illegals that have invaded our country and are just dismantling and wreaking havoc, so many of them, all over the country? What are your thoughts?
Imagine that, a presidential candidate who's actually willing to say how they really frustrating for all of us, David, over the last few months. Now Donald Trump is out front, and it's right where he should be, because he is the only one of the two candidates who's actually giving real policies and giving real answers to real questions and putting himself out there. Harris's behavior and her performances have been embarrassing. They were ripping her on CNN today after her disastrous town hall, and it's kind of pathetic. The fact that she hasn't held a news conference since she was ordained the Democratic nominee. It's been something like 96 days, not a single news conference. And good for Donald Trump for standing up for the American people, for tax-paying U.S. citizens who have been inundated with these waves of illegals who are taking over schools and hospitals and hotels, who we're paying for, who are then turning around and robbing and raping and killing American citizens.
Yeah, it's absolutely disturbing and disgusting. A good friend of mine has a job where he works with a lot of law enforcement. He was actually at an international chiefs association of some kind, and he actually got to talk to two very high up people in the Aurora, Colorado Police Department. And he said that the laws there, similar to California, where if somebody's stealing $1,000 or less from a store, they just basically get off with a ticket. And these stores are being, they're being told, you can call the cops and report it, but we're not going to send anybody out there. Now multiply that on to 100 of those that may take place in a day or in a weekend. The stores could lose $100,000 in a weekend and can't do a darn thing about it. And that's pretty much what the Democrats want. It's what happens in California. I'm pretty sure she'd probably try to make it the same around the country. And yet this woman is a heartbeat away from the presidency. Rick, how in the world did the Democrats allow themselves to get stuck with a choice like Kamala Harris for commander-in-chief?
I don't know. I don't know how they wound up with her. She didn't earn it. But they are stuck with her now. And, you reminded me of a story we did, that was about 2 months ago out of Chicago, where some guy had been arrested something like 15 times for one theft after another theft, for stealing stuff out of stores and getting caught and getting released and getting caught again and getting released. And what is the ultimate result of that kind of chronic theft? Well, guess what? Prices go up. They start locking all the goods behind, plastic walls, and then you got to get a store employee to come over and open it for you, but there are no store employees to be found, and a simple shopping trip takes 15 minutes, and the goods are 2 and 3 times as much as they used to be because the stores have to make it up somehow. It's so aggravating and so ridiculous to allow people to commit crimes and not punish them. What do you think's going to happen when someone finds out that they can steal up to a certain amount without consequence? They're going to keep stealing. They're going to keep going out and doing it, and that's what's happening. Without punishment, you will have more and more crime, and we're seeing it across America. Yeah. It's awful, and I'm sorry, David, but I hope that people are waking up and seeing it, and maybe that's why the polls are starting to reflect Trump with a lead.
Yeah, well, and they need to understand, too, that it's vote early. We've got to vote early in every single state around this country. That's what's going to be the Achilles heel of any shenanigans that the Democrats may have up their sleeves. Let's watch another clip from President Trump's rally last night in which he argues that illegal immigration is being used as a weapon against us, the American people.
You're witnessing the economic oppression of Americans to reward and enrich illegal aliens. But all that stops 2 weeks from now. Think of it, 2 weeks. Less than 2 weeks. For 4 straight years, Kamala Harris has imported an army of illegal alien gang members and migrant criminals from prisons and jails, insane asylums and mental institutions all over the world, from Venezuela to the Congo in Africa, and she's resettled them into a community near you. Isn't that lovely? And really did it, and they will prey on innocent Americans that have no idea what we're getting into. When we win on November 5th, the migrant invasion ends and the restoration of our country begins.
Yeah, it's way past time. Kamala Harris, as the borders are, has allowed it. I remember Tucker talking about it 3 years ago. He said this is why they're going to open the border. This is why they're going to allow mass invasion of illegal aliens, because they'll want to get them in here, sprinkle them around the country, and then get them the ability to vote. My concern, let me ask you this, Rick, if you thought of this. One of my concerns is we're also focused on the swing states. How possible is it that there could be some shenanigans taking place in a state that should be solid red, and they actually flip it and turn it blue and get those delegates? What kind of likelihood do you see of something like that taking place?
I hope that doesn't happen, David. I know there are a lot of eyeballs this time around on polling places, and both sides are making sure, or trying to make sure, that that sort of thing doesn't happen. I'd be more concerned with the mail-in ballots than anything else. But listen, all that matters is more people cast ballots for one candidate than the other to ensure that that one candidate wins. And I think Donald Trump often says at his rallies, you know, that we're going to win big. We need to win big. What was it? Too big to
Too big
rig?
to rig.
I think
is what we got to make happen. Yep.
Yeah. So you know, that
exactly
I think
what
that's the key. This whole, we talk about the border all the time on my show, and I know you do on your show too. Fences work, walls work. Even if they manage to climb over it and from place to place, at time to time, you're deterring them. Israel has very secure borders because of the walls around that country. There are a lot of examples. The White House has a fence around it. The country should have a fence around it. That's important. And then, when someone earns the right to come into America, that you let them in. But you can't just let everyone in without seeing who they are and where they're from and what jail they just got out of. I mean, these things matter. And we're now suffering the consequences of them not doing their due diligence.
Yeah, it's exactly what we're suffering. I know that President Trump, on one of his recent rallies, he actually had the mom of Jocelyn Nungary up there to speak, and she shared how she'd heard from President Trump on multiple occasions. Again, her daughter, 12 years old, was lured by two illegals down to a riverbank, was horribly abused, raped, and then murdered, and then tossed like garbage by the river. Kamala hadn't reached out until apparently just recently tried to in some manner. Jocelyn's mom, Alexis, she said she didn't take it very genuine. It seemed more that she was doing it just because the election is right around the corner. But then what could the borders say about illegals coming in and raping and murdering this 12-year-old girl? What could she actually say to the mother? It's just disgraceful. Rick, before we let you go, we just heard that Israel launched a retaliatory strike on Iran tonight, and we're still waiting on more facts about that. But what are your thoughts on this situation?
Well, we've been trying to keep up with the breaking news out of the Middle East. It's close to 4 a.m. now in Tehran, which is under attack apparently by the Israelis. Iran fired a couple of barrages of missiles at Israel, sort of a back and forth because of the situation in Israel. Of course, it started with that attack on October 7th more than a year ago, one of the worst in the history of the Jewish state. And since then, as Israel's been attacking Hamas and Hezbollah and other proxies of Iran have been striking back at Israel. And after Israel took out a Hezbollah commander, Iran fired missiles on October 1st at Israel, and Israel has been vowing to strike back, and it is striking back at this hour. We don't know what it's hit, exactly what the targets are. Israel says they are Iranian military targets, but there have been numerous explosions reported in and around the capital city of Tehran in Iran, and we're just waiting for more information on what exactly has been hit and how extensive the damages are, David.
This should be very concerning to us as Americans because, who has Iran's back? China. Who has China's back? Russia. We're teetering literally on the brink of World War III here. And honestly, World War III or a mass escalation in this war, that could have an effect on the election as well. What are your thoughts in that scenario?
Well, I'll tell you this. What we haven't heard from the Biden and Harris administration is release the hostages immediately. Hamas has to release the hostages. They should have been saying that from day one and insisting before any negotiations take place that Hamas release the hundreds of hostages it brought back into Gaza with them after they slaughtered some 1,200 Israelis. And instead of doing that, the administration in the U.S. kept putting pressure on Israel, or trying to to find a way to stop the war and make peace with Hamas, which was still holding a couple of hundred hostages in tunnels and doing awful, awful things to those people. And they're still holding close to 100 hostages. Hamas is. So where is the U.S., where are the rest of the people of America and around the world? Where's the outrage against the Palestinians, against Hamas for holding hostages for more than a year now? Of course, Israel has a right to defend itself. And of course, Israel has a right to go after the people who murdered their people and are holding the others hostage. And that's what they've been doing. And if the administration had had Israel's back from day one and put more pressure on, Hezbollah and Hamas and Iran, then maybe we wouldn't be here right now. Maybe Hamas would have eventually given them up and we would have found peace. But instead, they've been trying to coddle both sides and going hard against the Israelis and sort of fostering this anti-Semitism around the world. And now here we are. And who knows where this is going to head, but it certainly doesn't look good.
No, it doesn't look good at all. And one thing's for sure, it's the weakness in the current administration, which includes Kamala, because Joe's not running anything. It's the weakness that's fostering all of this. And that's why Americans better pray for peace in the Middle East. Rick Leventhal, my brother, appreciate you, man. Love your show. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you, David. Thank you.
Coming up, Elon Musk is on the campaign trail for President Trump. We'll watch how one of the world's, actually he is the world's richest man, is doing everything that he can to save America. Next.
We're back. If you've been tell you what your case is potentially worth, pick up the phone, call now.
Hi folks, Joe Namath here. Did you know that I wear hearing aids? I had trouble with my hearing years ago. I did something about it. I love my hearing aids and I am here to help you get a deal on the same brand I wear. I was wearing those expensive hearing aids for years and I didn't know any better until a good friend of mine told me about MD Hearing. I thought the price was too good to be true, but I bought a pair anyway. No doctor visit, no prescription, no hassle. It was easy. When they showed up, I called and spoke to Sandy, one of their audiologists, to make sure the hearing aids fit and work the way I need it. And they do that for everyone, not just me.
Once the MD hearing aids are in, you kind of said, I just should have done this before.
Call now and get 2 rechargeable Neo hearing aids for just $297 with a free portable charging case and free shipping. The rechargeable Neo is nearly invisible with its tiny in-the-ear canal design. And you can get 2 rechargeable Neo hearing aids with a 45-day risk-free trial, free shipping, and free lifetime U.S.-based support for only $297.
Call 800-587-1443.
I started hearing things I haven't heard in a long time, like the water trickling in the other room. I didn't realize how bad my hearing was until I got the hearing aids.
I've never had a better pair of hearing aids. I wear them all the time, and I'm even wearing them now. If you have hearing problems or even think you might have hearing problems, don't waste your money or time on other hearing aids. Call my friends at MD Hearing and get my favorite over-the-counter hearing aids for you.
Call now and get 2 rechargeable Neo hearing aids for just $297 with a free portable charging case and free shipping.
Call 800-587-1443. 800-587-1443.
Hi folks, we're back. If you've been injured in an accident that's not your fault and you don't have an attorney, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to answer your questions and tell you what your case is potentially worth. Pick up the phone, call now.
I'm Jonathan Lawson. If you're 50 to 85, please listen closely. The lock I want to talk to you about isn't the one on your door. It's a rate lock for your life insurance that guarantees that once you're insured, your rate can never go up at any time for any reason. Many policies you see don't have one, but you can get a lifetime rate lock from Colonial Penn. This plan was designed for people on a fixed income with coverage options that start at $9.95 a month. That's less than 35 cents a day. Your rate is locked in for life. Coverage can never be canceled, and your acceptance is guaranteed. You cannot be turned down because of your health. See for yourself. Call for an information kit and gift. Both are free with no obligation.
Call 1-800-823-4108 for your free information and your free gift. That's 1-800-823-4108. 1-800-823-4108. Call now.
Good evening, friends, and welcome back to The Pulse. I am David Harris Jr. Well, Elon Musk, he's holding town halls in Pennsylvania to promote the MAGA agenda and share his common sense wisdom with voters. If you're wondering why the world's richest man would upend his life and get into politics, well, here he is explaining it himself.
You know, I build rockets and cars and stuff. So what am I doing in politics? It's not, I don't want to be in politics. I want to be clear. That is not my preference. I just like building stuff. I like building products that people love. And I derive joy from seeing people enjoy the products that my companies make. So I like making products people love, and that's what I normally like doing. And I actually don't like politics at all. I hate politics. but the stakes are so high here that I have had no choice but to take a stand. So it's not something I want to do, and yeah. Yeah.
The stakes are so high that the world's richest man that likes creating things, likes building things, is willing to step out of the private sector and onto the public, very public stage to show his support for probably one of the most, I'd say courageous, but also one of the most influential, yes, but also the most attacked men in America. That's risky business right there. That's risky for anyone's business. And the lawfare that's been waged even at Elon Musk from so many different departments that want to dive into how his hiring practices and whether he's hiring enough individuals from a certain demographic. Are you freaking kidding me? The stakes are so high that even Elon Musk is willing to put himself out there and his companies out there to try to save America. Last year, Elon Musk took a huge risk in buying and freeing the Twitter platform from the Democrat goons. In this video, he explains why diverse viewpoints are also so important for a healthy society. Check this out.
I think we should embrace a diversity of views, and we should have reasonable arguments, and we should have debates, and they should be, that's the essence of free speech, is that ideas survive, when they're competing ideas in the marketplace of ideas. If somebody says something that's incorrect, then that can be corrected. That's what happens on the X platform. People will say something, then others will add context to it, or they will correct it, or there'll be a community note. And this applies equally to the left and right. There's no thumb on the scale like there used to be. And there's no voice on the left that's been silenced, unlike in the past where many voices on the right were silenced. But they just don't seem to like the idea that people on the right can say what they want to say within the bounds of the law, which is startling.
Yes, it is startling. But you know what it also says to me? It says to me that the legacy media, they don't trust you to make decisions for yourself. They want to narrate what you see and what you hear. They want to keep you in a box. They want to keep you someplace where you're controlled, where all that you hear and all that you see is what they want you to hear and what they want you to see. Friends, that's communism. It's exactly what happens in China. You can't just hear and see and watch anything you want. No. the CCP wants to control what you hear and what you see to keep you from rising up against that communist regime. And that's exactly what's taking place here in America. It's already here. And friends of Kamala Harris and Tampon Tim, communist Tim Walz, if they get in the Oval Office, if they get a chance to run this country, you better kiss the freedoms that you still hold dear goodbye. I have no doubt that they will fast track this country into the United Socialist States of America and put laws on the books at the federal level and use every federal agency at their disposal to do exactly what they've done to President Donald Trump to every single American that stands up against them. And that should scare the hell out of all of you. Coming up, we've got the latest updates on Israel's retaliatory attack on Iran. We'll bring you everything that we know about it when we come back.
We're back. If you've been injured in an accident that's not your fault and you don't have an attorney, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to answer your questions and tell you what your case is potentially worth. Pick up the phone, call now.
Hi folks, Joe Namath here. And if you're having a hard time hearing, call MD Hearing because they changed my life and they can change yours too. I was wearing expensive hearing aids for years until a good friend of mine told me about MD Hearing. I bought a pair of the hearing aids with no doctor visit, no prescription, and no hassle. I got fitted right over the phone, and I've never had a better pair of hearing aids. I'm even wearing them right now.
Call now and get 2 rechargeable Neo XS hearing aids for just $397 with a free charging case and free shipping. The Neo XS is our smallest hearing aid ever. It's nearly invisible, and you can get 2 Neo XS hearing aids with a 45-day risk-free trial, free shipping, and free lifetime U.S.-based support for only $397.
Call my friends at MD Hearing and get the over-the-counter hearing aids that I use for you.
Call 800-578-9743.
Hi, folks. We're back. If you've been injured in an accident that's not your fault and you don't have an attorney, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to answer your questions and tell you what your case is potentially worth. Pick up the phone, call now.
This right here is confidence in a bottle.
Not only does it change you on the outside, but something in the inside, knowing that you're looking better.
It makes me feel so much more confident than I've ever felt in my life.
They are some of the hottest videos on social media. Those videos claiming to instantly get rid of bags under your eyes. Well, today we're going to see one for ourselves and let you be the judge. It's called Plexiderm, and lifestyle expert Annette Figueroa is here to tell us why she says this one is for real.
This one is for real, and I'm so excited. We even have a video, and you'll notice the model has bags underneath his eyes and some sagging, and all he uses is a small amount on a clean, dry face, and that's how easy it is.
All right, what's the active ingredient?
Okay, so it's silicates that are minerals found in shale rock, and what it does is it tightens and lifts the appearance of bags underneath your eyes, and as little as 10 minutes, no prescriptions, and very little effort. Even watching the video, this is a real, it's a model, but it's a real guy with real bags underneath his eyes.
My real true opinion is holy words I can't say on camera. This is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, I could feel it just lifting my skin. It was amazing. It feels good. Feels great. Looks even better.
And I did this to my father. We were at home. So we applied it to his under eye bags. And let me tell you, we were so excited. In under 10 minutes, they visibly disappeared from view. And now it is literally part of both of our daily routines. He calls me every single month saying, "Hey, Annette, I'm out of Plexiderm, please send me more." And not only does it work on the bags, it works on the appearance of crow's feet, fine lines, and wrinkles. The way you want to do it is you want to have a clean, dry face. You use a small amount because it's so powerful. You have high school reunions, you have events you want to go to, you want to look years younger, this is it.
At our $14.95 price, it's the best way to try Plexiderm and see it work for yourself after your first application. Call the number on your screen.
Call 800-531-2824.
Welcome back, friends, to The Pulse. I am David Harris Jr. Well, we have updates on Israel's retaliatory strikes tonight. Syria's state-run news agency reports that Israel struck several military targets in southern and central Syria, in addition to the strikes on Iran that we reported on earlier. Officials say that Israel is not targeting Iranian nuclear facilities or oil fields and is focusing on military targets. We'll bring you more updates on this situation as we get the facts. Stay with us, friends. The Silver Lining is next.
American Moment.
It was erected in the dead of night, and for 28 years separated East Germany from West Germany. The Berlin Wall quickly came to symbolize the stark difference between the free West and the communist East. In June of 1987, President Reagan visited the wall at the famous Brandenburg Gate and used the occasion to issue two public challenges to then-Soviet Premier Mikhail Gorbachev.
If you seek liberalization, come here to this gate. Mr. Gorbachev, open this gate.
His second challenge was more blunt, and as it turned out, even more prophetic.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
On November 9th, 1989, 2 years, 5 months, and 1 day after President Reagan's famous challenge, that is exactly what happened. Only the Soviets didn't tear down the wall, the people of Berlin did. Once the East German government announced their borders to the West were open, the free people on both sides of the wall worked in unison to chip it away, piece by piece, until this monument to tyranny was completely destroyed. You're watching An American Moment on Newsmax TV.
Cars will break down, and when they do, it's too late. If your car's out of warranty, it leaves you with two choices: get stuck paying for expensive repairs, or one phone call to CarShield. Their administrators pay for your covered repairs so you don't have to. Your coverage includes roadside assistance, towing, rental, and so much more. Plus, with their nationwide network, you choose the mechanic or dealer. Best of all, there's coverage for every wallet size. Make the smart call before it's too late. Call CarShield today.
Whether because of discomfort, lack of mobility, your lifestyle, or occupation, you sit inactively way too many hours a day. Introducing Ellipse, the premium quality automatic seated exerciser that strengthens legs, increases mobility, and boosts circulation without physical strain or impact.
It is so quiet that none of my coworkers even know I'm using it.
Strengthen and tone your legs, increase your mobility, flexibility, and balance. Plus, stimulate healthy circulation.
My joints feel better, my knees feel better, my back feels better. It makes me feel stronger too.
Perfect for home therapy. Whisper quiet to use while you work.
My circulation is moving, I'm burning calories, and it makes me feel energetic.
Call now and order Ellipse, the seated exerciser that strengthens legs, increases mobility, and boosts circulation. Call and get upgraded to the Deluxe Bundle. Get the faster motor or 5 miles of steps per hour, the step counter, the sport mat, and wireless remote. Call now.
If you could help reduce the urge to go to the bathroom due to your aging prostate, if you could improve your energy levels because you're getting a better night's sleep, would you? Of course you would. And now you can, with the help of Prostate Revive, the premium dietary supplement for men whose lives, sleep, and energy levels are affected due to the concerns of an aging prostate. It was specially formulated for men by noted medical doctor, Dr. David Brownstein.
Prostate Revive is really about healthy aging. It contains a plant sterol called beta-sitosterol, combined with 15 other important ingredients. Prostate Revive's exclusive formula helps promote normal prostate function, and that means you can reduce the urge to go and finally get a good night's sleep.
Here's how you can try Prostate Revive risk-free.
Simply call or visit our website now, and we'll send every new customer a risk-free 30-day trial of Prostate Revive. You discover the low shipping and handling. This is a $39.95 value, so don't delay. Call or go online today.
Welcome back, friends, to The Pulse. I am David Harris Jr., and it's that time of the show I call the silver lining, and for good reason. Because when things are chaotic and things are unsettling and there's potential wars breaking out, wars actually taking place, in other parts of the world, and there's so much that's taken place in our own country, in our own city. We've got to remember the silver lining. And sometimes, friends, the silver lining is just the fact that we are still alive, that we have breath in our lungs, that we hopefully have food on our plates, in our refrigerator, and that we have family, that we have friends, that we have loved ones that love us. If you're in a place where you don't feel loved, or you don't feel like you have anybody, then please reach out to somebody. Get connected to a local church. Get connected to a place where they appreciate the fact that you were created and made in God's image. And if you do have family and friends that believe that, then sometimes you just have to remind yourself that God is good, that this world is not our home, that we will live forever, and hopefully you and I will both live in that place of eternity called heaven. And the only way that you can know that for sure is by accepting the free gift that is and was and still is Jesus Christ. You know, the one thing that separates Christianity from every other belief system in the world is every other belief, religious belief, thinks and believes that you can do enough good deeds to get to heaven. Friends, there's only one belief that says there's nothing that you can do to earn the perfect place of eternal heaven. But there is something you can do. You can accept the free gift. That is one difference, the one main difference in every other belief. There's nothing you can do to earn it, friends. It's a gift. And that gift came down to us in the form of a person and lived a perfect life and then died an excruciating, torturous death and then rose again 3 days later for you, for me. You know, the fact that the disciples that saw him rise again from the dead, the fact that they lived till their last day and were even tortured, given the opportunity to say, renounce this Jesus that you say rose from the dead. They were tortured. They were hung upside down, crucified upside down, chopped to pieces, heads cut off, because they knew what they saw. That right there is what separates Christianity from every other belief. And if you don't know Jesus for yourself, I just want to take the moment to just invite you to just welcome him in. It's simply saying, I acknowledge that Jesus, you lived. I acknowledge that you say that you died for me. And I believe that you did rise from the dead. And then invite him into your heart. Say, come into my life. Be the Lord of my life. Be real to me. And then help me live for you. When you just pray a prayer that simple, then friends, I know that the God of the universe, the creator of the universe, will make himself known to you. And then you will experience a peace that surpasses all understanding. Would you do that tonight? I hope and pray that you will. Friends, that's all the time we have for tonight. Thank you so much for watching The Pulse, making us the #1 show. Share this show with your family and friends, and tune in Monday night at 8 p.m. for a brand new episode. Have a great rest of your weekend. Good night, America, and God bless you.
We're back. If you've been injured in an accident that's not your fault and you don't have an attorney, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to answer your questions and tell you what your case is potentially worth. Pick up the phone, call now.
Tell me, is there some society you know that doesn't run on greed? You think Russia doesn't run on greed? You think China doesn't run on greed? What is greed? Of course, none of us are greedy. It's only the other fellow who's greedy. The world runs on individuals pursuing their separate interests. The great achievements of civilization have not come from government bureaus. Einstein didn't construct his theory under order from a bureaucrat. Henry Ford didn't revolutionize the automobile industry that way. In the only cases in which the masses have escaped from the kind of grinding poverty you're talking about, the only cases in recorded history are where they have had capitalism and largely free trade. If you want to know where the masses are worse off worst off is exactly in the kinds of societies that depart from that. So that the record of history is absolutely crystal clear that there is no alternative way so far discovered of improving the lot of the ordinary people that can hold a candle to the productive activities that are unleashed by a free enterprise system.
This right here is confidence in a bottle.
Not only does it change you on the outside, but something in the inside, knowing that you're looking better.
It makes me feel so much more confident than I've ever felt in my life.
They are some of the hottest videos on social media. Those videos claiming to instantly get rid of bags under your eyes. Well, today we're going to see one for ourselves and let you be the judge. It's called Plexiderm, and lifestyle expert Annette Figueroa is here to tell us why she says this one is for real.
This one is for real, and I'm so excited. We even have a video, and you'll notice the model has bags underneath his eyes and some sagging, and all he uses is a small amount on a clean, dry face, and that's how easy it is.
All right, what's the active ingredient?
Okay, so it's silicates that are minerals found in shale rock, and what it does is it tightens and lifts the appearance of bags underneath your eyes, and as little as 10 minutes, no prescriptions, and very little effort. Even watching the video, this is a real, it's a model, but it's a real guy with real bags underneath his eyes.
My real true opinion is holy words I can't say on camera. This is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, I could feel it just lifting my skin. It was amazing. It feels good. Feels great. Looks even better.
And I did this to my father. We were at home. So we applied it to his under eye bags. And let me tell you, we were so excited. In under 10 minutes, they visibly disappeared from view. And now it is literally part of both of our daily routines. He calls me every single month saying, "Hey, Annette, I'm out of Plexiderm, please send me more." And not only does it work on the bags, it works on the appearance of crow's feet, fine lines, and wrinkles. The way you want to do it is you want to have a clean, dry face. You use a small amount because it's so powerful. You have high school reunions, you have events you want to go to, you want to look years younger, this is it.
At our $14.95 price, it's the best way to try Plexiderm and see it work for yourself after your first application. Your solution is at plexidermtrial.com or call the number on your screen.
I swear to you, Adolf Hitler, as Führer and Reich Chancellor, loyalty and bravery. I vow to you, and those you have named to command me, obedience unto death. So help me God. The personal oath taken by each SS man encapsulated the fact that from the moment he entered the service of Hitler, he owed his loyalty to the Führer alone and no one else. How Hitler built up his personal guard from a small team of beer hall bodyguards into a force of several 100,000 in the final year of World War II is a remarkable story. Germany in the aftermath of World War I was gripped by anarchy and political violence. The democratic Weimar Republic replaced the old political order of the Kaiser, Wilhelm II, and the Prussian royal family. On the streets, ultra-right-wing Freikorps, composed mainly of former officers, demobilized soldiers, and fanatical nationalists, battled communists. Polish troops were skirmishing with German militia units on the country's eastern borders, while British, French, and American troops occupied the Rhineland. The country's economy was desperately trying to adjust from war to peace. At the same time, under the terms of the controversial Versailles Treaty, Germany had to pay huge reparations to the countries that had been the victims of its aggression during the war. Unemployment was rife as hyperinflation destroyed many companies. Demobilized soldiers found they had no jobs to return to. The treaty also forced Germany's military to be reduced to no more than 100,000 professional soldiers, and forbade it from having an air force tanks, submarines, and heavy battleships. In this climate of chaos, radical political parties proliferated as the German people sought a savior to give them hope that their country had a future, or at least to provide answers to their problems. In the eyes of many, the new Weimar Republic lacked legitimacy and was seen as little more than a foreign-imposed government of traitors. Politics in post-World War I Germany was a brutal and unforgiving business. On the radical fringes, it had more in common with urban warfare than rational debate. Every extreme right and left-wing party seemed to employ a private army of heavily armed ex-soldiers. They were used to break up rivals' meetings or attempt to overthrow local governments not to their liking. Such groups included the so-called Stahlhelm, or Steel Helmet, a nationalist ex-servicemen's association formed in 1918. On the left, the Red Front Fighters Association was the Army of Communists. The police and the much-reduced army, the Reichswehr, were hard-pressed to maintain order. Street battles were common in most major German cities during the early 1920s. In the southern city of Munich, an obscure demobilized Austrian corporal, Adolf Hitler, was rising fast through the ranks of the ultra-right-wing National Socialist German Workers' Party, or Nazi Party. Through the sheer force of his personality, Hitler transformed the party from a ramshackle group of disgruntled ex-soldiers, which was initially dubbed the Deutsche Arbeiterpartei, or German Workers' Party, into a tightly organized force. It attracted increasing support not only in Bavaria, but also in many other German cities. Hitler's philosophy appealed across the political spectrum, from out-of-work soldiers to dispossessed small businessmen, disgruntled army officers, and government officials whose pensions and savings had been eroded. He preached that Germany had to be great again, and that the collaborators of the Weimar Republic needed to be overthrown to allow that to happen. Once the shackles of the Versailles Treaty were gone, then Germany and her people would be prosperous and free again. Hitler saw politics as a struggle in which only the fittest would survive. Ultimately, he believed that the struggle had to involve destroying Germany's true enemies, the Jews and Slav communists, who were trying to prevent its people achieving their destiny. In Hitler's worldview, the Jews and Slavs had conspired against Germany during World War I and fomented revolution at home, just as the army was about to achieve victory on the battlefield. This was the stabbed-in-the-back myth that had a great resonance with the confused and dispirited German public at the time. In his twisted world, Hitler had no qualms about the methods used to achieve supreme power in Germany. In his Darwinian view, street fighting and other forms of political violence were just an extension of the struggle for the German people's survival. Given the desperate conditions in Germany during the early 1920s, it was not surprising that such views attracted support from ordinary people who had little idea of what their future would hold. Hope was a precious commodity in 1920s Germany, and Hitler seemed to offer it.
Helping families with mesothelioma is all we do. Our firm has been offering a free book on mesothelioma for over 10 years. Since that time, thousands with mesothelioma have trusted us to represent them against those responsible. We have local offices throughout the U.S. Mesothelioma really is all we do, and there is no risk to you. Let us put a plan in place for you and your family. Call now.
Call us at 800-300-5350, 800-300-5350.
Have you ever felt leg pain, restlessness, cramps, tingling, swelling, numbness, itchiness, or coldness? If you've ever experienced the warning signs of bad circulation, or you sit or stand every day for long periods of time, then you need the new, clinically proven Legxercise Pro. the natural circulation booster that uses continuous automatic leg movement to soothe pain and promote healthy circulation the natural drug-free way. Stagnant blood circulates out of your legs and back up to your heart. Legzercise Pro moves your feet back and forth along its concave track, creating constant movement and flex at both the knee and ankle joints. The perfect combination to naturally stimulate healthy circulation. It's like having a physical therapist right in your own home. Soothe pain and calm restless legs. Reduce swelling in your legs, ankles, and feet, and stimulate healthy circulation. Legzercise Pro is patented and designed in the United States to be easy, safe, and painless for anyone of any age with any health condition. Turn sitting, resting, and watching TV into an effective and healthy passive exercise.
My legs feel great now. I can move them around without pain at all.
It's helped with the swelling and the pain. The tingling feeling is gone.
Legzercise Pro gave me back the mobility that I had lost.
I'm so happy I got her Legzercise.
Call right now and order your very own Legzercise Pro, the clinically proven automatic leg mover that soothes pain and naturally promotes healthy circulation. Call now and get upgraded to the Legzercise Pro Deluxe model. You'll get the faster motor that produces more than 2.5 kilometers worth of steps per hour, the step counter to keep track of what you've accomplished, the longer motion track for more overall leg movement, and the comfort remote control. Don't let this opportunity pass you by. Hurry and call now.
Hey everyone, Emerald Lagasse here, and I'm so excited to tell you about my biggest air fryer yet.
Introducing Emerald Lagasse's Dual Zone Air Fryer Oven with dual-sided cooking chambers. Now you can cook 2 different foods 2 different ways that finish at the same time. No more back-to-back cooking. Now main dish and sides finish at the same time. Enjoy juicy grilled burgers at the same time as air-fried French fries. Broiled savory salmon at the same time as roasted asparagus. Broiled chicken parm finishes at the same time as baked cheesy garlic bread. The secret is in the QuickSync technology that matches the cooking times and settings of each food, so they're programmed to finish at the same time.
I tell you, I cannot recommend this enough. It comes out perfect every single time.
It's awesome. But watch, remove the center divider and it transforms into a large 25-quart capacity oven for delicious family-size Monday to Sunday meals that cook up to 60% faster. Slow cook a pot of Mama's meatballs, delicious savory chili, or bake the easiest homemade bread without turning on that big oven. You can even cook right from the freezer. Mozzarella sticks from frozen to ooey gooey in minutes, or frozen shrimp to sizzling scampi in just 10 minutes. Now you can try Emerald Lagasse's 25-quart dual zone air fryer oven with dual cooking chamber, removable oven divider, and toasting rack in your home for 30 days for just $14.99. But wait, you also get Emerald's free downloadable dual zone recipe book. Order now and we'll automatically upgrade you to his deluxe cooking kit absolutely free, complete with 2 baking sheets, 2 crisper baskets, large baking sheet, the grill plate, the rotisserie spit and fetch tool, plus a 100% satisfaction guarantee and a 1-year VIP protection plan. Plus, ask how you can get free shipping. This offer will not last, so order now.
You're gonna love it. I guarantee it.
Call 1-800-553-5710. That's 1-800-553-5710.
Hi folks, we're back. If you've been injured in an accident that's not your fault and you don't have an attorney, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to answer your questions and tell you what your case is potentially worth. Pick up the phone, call now.
Bavarian politics of the early 1920s were a particularly violent subculture of the larger German political scene and revolved around meetings in Munich's famous beer halls. Fueled by strong beer and fiery rhetoric, bloody street fights between rival groups were common. The Nazi Party was in the thick of this maelstrom. To take the fight to his communist rivals, in 1921, Hitler organized a party militia dubbed the Sturmabteilung, literally Storm Detachment, or SA. It was under the command of a former army captain, Ernst Röhm. Soon nicknamed the Brown Shirts because of their distinctive uniforms, SA stormtroopers were in the thick of riots and other trouble. Hitler also moved to set up a new ultra-loyal paramilitary group that would have the job of protecting him and other senior Nazi leaders. Since many SA members were former Freikorps, he needed men who would give him unquestioning loyalty. In March 1923, he set up the Stabswacht, or Headquarters Guard, which initially consisted of just 2 men. Within weeks, this group was reorganized as the Stoßtrupp, or Shock Troop, Adolf Hitler. The group's distinctive black uniforms soon became a feature of Nazi Party meetings, and its members were always ready to do their master's bidding. At this point, Hitler's bodyguards never numbered more than a few dozen men. By early November 1923, Hitler was convinced that the Weimar Republic was on the verge of collapse, and he declared that the Nazi Party was to lead a march on Berlin to overthrow Germany's government of Jewish Marxist traitors. The first stage of the Nazi Revolution would take place in Munich, where Hitler and the SA planned to depose the Bavarian state government and win over local army units to their cause. After a rabble-rousing speech in a beer hall from their leader, Hitler's supporters spread out through the city with the intention of seizing key buildings. This resulted in the coup d'etat attempt being dubbed the Beer Hall Putsch. The small Stoßtrupp Adolf Hitler was given the task of ransacking the offices of the Social Democratic Munich Post newspaper. In the meantime, Hitler and the main column of Nazis headed for the Bavarian War Ministry building. Unfortunately for Hitler, he had misjudged the mood of the country, which was now starting to recover from the post-war chaos. The army soldiers outside the ministry stood their ground and opened fire on the Nazi plotters. Some 16 Nazis were killed in the confusion, and Hitler dislocated his shoulder as he dived for cover. The putsch ended in fiasco. Hitler and several other plotters were arrested. During the 13 months he served of his 5-year sentence in Landsberg prison for conspiracy to commit treason, Hitler's bodyguard was disbanded. The period of imprisonment did nothing to dampen Hitler's quest for power. Rather, he emerged from jail with a long-term plan to achieve his aims. Germany was now a more prosperous and stable place, so Hitler's apocalyptic vision of future struggles had to be tempered. He now talked about using legal methods to gain power and tried to portray himself as a normal, constitutional politician.
Our strategy to go after this army is very, very simple. First, we're going to cut it off, and then we're going to kill it.
America's first African-American Secretary of State, Colin Luther Powell, was born on April 5, 1937, in Harlem, New York. In June of 1958, the self-described C student received a degree in geology from the City College of New York and also began his 35-year career as a professional soldier as a graduate of the school's ROTC program. 3 years later, he married Alma Johnson, and the couple raised 3 children, Michael, Anne-Marie, and Linda. Now Major Colin Powell served 2 tours in Vietnam, earning a Soldier's Medal for Bravery after rescuing 3 of his fellow soldiers from the burning wreckage, including his division commander, Major General Charles Geddes. In 1971, the future 4-star general earned a master's degree in business administration from George Washington University and served under a White House fellowship for President Richard Nixon. During the Reagan administration, Colin Powell served as an assistant to the then Secretary of Defense, Caspar Weinberger, advising him on the invasion of Grenada and the 1986 airstrike on Libya. In 1987, President Ronald Reagan appointed Colin Powell, now a 3-star general, as his national security advisor. During the H.W. Bush administration, Powell was promoted to the rank of 4-star general and appointed chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, making him the first African American and the first ROTC graduate to attain that rank. While serving as chairman, he oversaw 28 international crises, including the invasion of Panama, as well as Operation Desert Storm. Capping his career in public service on December 16, 2000, President George W. Bush nominated him as America's Secretary of State, making him the first African American to ever hold that post. He served for 5 years until January 2005. On October 8, 2021, General Colin Luther Powell died at the age of 84 due to complications from myeloma. You're watching An American Life on Newsmax TV.
Introducing a brand new kitchen appliance that does all the work for you. A hassle-free solution that sears food, stirs it, even shreds it in one pot that you can set, then forget about, and come back to delicious, perfectly prepared meals that cook up to 60% faster without having to do a thing, except enjoy a little extra free time. From the trusted brand Power XL, there's the StirMax Multi-Cooker, the revolutionary new countertop appliance with a built-in auto stirrer that gives you the freedom of adding your favorite ingredients and walking away. No more stirring food. StirMax is the one-pot solution that does everything for you. The secret is the unique pot shape and groundbreaking StirMax technology that's automatically programmed to rotate the paddle clockwise, then counterclockwise to help prevent jams and food from burning while infusing flavor. Powerful enough to even shred food. With large 7.5 quart capacity and lightweight, attractive design, the entire pan goes right to the table. StirMax features 9 different cooking functions: saute, slow cook, cook stews or soups, keep warm, steam and boil, cook risotto or rice. Plus, the multi-step smart presets, StirMax or BraiseMax, that sears and sautés food before automatically switching to simmer. With premium ceramic coating that's BPA, PFOA, and PTFE free, scratch-proof, and won't ever stick. Then the entire pan goes right into the dishwasher. Now, you can try the Power XL StirMax Multi-Cooker with tempered glass lid and recipe guide in your home for 30 days for just $14.99. But it gets even better. You also get the entire bonus package absolutely free. You get the steamer and rice basket. For fresh, healthy meals, the StirMax serving spoon and ladle. It snaps right on top of your StirMax, plus $100 in free grocery coupons. We'll even ship your order next business day absolutely free. Plus, every StirMax comes with a 1-year ironclad VIP protection plan and a 90-day money-back guarantee. This is an exclusive TV-only offer, so order now.
I was exhausted all the time, and I just didn't feel like myself. And then came the weight gain. I found out I was like millions of Americans whose thyroid gland wasn't functioning like it was supposed to. And that's why I started taking Actilin, a premium nutritional supplement. Actilin was created by renowned physician Dr. David Brownstein, formulated with 17 powerful ingredients to specifically support your thyroid function, adrenal health, and metabolism. And now, you can get a free bottle of Actilin with our special offer. Just pay a small shipping and handling charge. Plus, receive Dr. Brownstein's free special report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Thyroid. If you're experiencing loss of energy, cold hands and feet, dry skin, weight gain, or joint pain, Actilin may be right for you. Don't wait. Act now. Get your free trial bottle of Actilin, valued at $39.95.
Hitler was still convinced that his opponents, both within and outside the Nazi Party, would try to kill him if they had the opportunity. On his release from prison, he moved quickly to reestablish his bodyguard. In April 1925, only 8 men were in the group that was soon renamed the Schutzstaffel, or Protection Squad. This title was quickly abbreviated to SS, creating the infamous name. Because of their distinctive black uniforms, they were soon nicknamed the Black Guard, or Black Order. Their uniforms were adorned with the letters SS, stylized as distinctive Nordic runes. For the next 4 years, the SS was a small, elite group of bodyguards that traveled with Hitler wherever he went. They were initially volunteers who did their security work in the evenings or on weekends. Only a small number of the 300 or so SS men were full-time and on the Nazi Party payroll. As Hitler moved to establish the Nazi Party as a national body outside of his Bavarian power base, the SS was expanded, and small detachments were set up in every major German city to protect local leaders and party meetings. The SS was deliberately kept small so its total loyalty to Hitler could be assured. Already, Hitler was growing suspicious of Rome and the SA because their hot-headed behavior was threatening his attempts to rebrand the Nazi Party as a respectable political force. In January 1929, Hitler appointed a chicken farmer, Heinrich Himmler, as head of the SS, with the blessing to build it up as a force to rival the SA. Even though the SS was nominally part of Rome's force, Himmler was totally loyal to Hitler and threw himself into expanding his new fiefdom. Over the next 4 years, he expanded the SS to some 52,000 men, which not only included bodyguards, but also a covert secret intelligence organization called the Sicherheitsdienst, translated as the Security Service, or SD. Loyalty to Hitler was at the core of the SS ethos. The expanded SS organization was essentially a shadow internal security apparatus, which would help the Nazis gain and keep power in Germany. Events across the Atlantic soon intervened to change the fortunes of Hitler and his Nazi Party. The Wall Street stock market crash of October and November 1929 rapidly sent ripples of economic crisis around the world. Germany's fragile recovery was stopped in its tracks. Millions were soon unemployed, and the value of Germany's currency went through the floor. There were 1.6 million unemployed in October 1929. By February 1932, this figure had increased to 6.12 million. The Great Depression gave Hitler the chance he was looking for, and again, he portrayed himself as Germany's new messiah. From having only 12 seats in the Reichstag, the German parliament, in 1928, the Nazis managed to win 107 seats and 6 million votes in the 1930 election. Over the next 3 years, as Germany's economic crisis worsened, the Nazi Party's vote increased, as did the votes going to the communists. Squeezed from left and right, the center parties found themselves unable to form governments without the support of either of the political extremes. Governments lasted only a few months, preventing the implementation of the necessary measures to restore the economy. Germany's democracy was locked into a spiral of economic and political decline. By the middle of 1932, the Nazis were the largest party in the Reichstag. Even though they did not have the necessary majority of seats to allow them to form a government, they held the balance of power, and Hitler was now a key power broker. For 6 months, Germany was in political turmoil as the aging President Paul von Hindenburg tried to form a government that excluded Hitler. The former field marshal despised Hitler because of his lowly Austrian birth. In January 1933, Hindenburg bowed to the inevitable and appointed Hitler as Germany's chancellor. Hitler was the leader of a coalition with other right-wing parties, which represented big business interests. Over the next year, Hitler moved systematically to consolidate his grip on power and eventually appointed himself Germany's Führer with unlimited dictatorial powers. The SS played a key role in this move to dictatorship. Once in control of the levers of political power, Hitler moved to put his loyal lieutenants into key positions of influence. Himmler was made police chief in Munich. The SS was also authorized to act as an official police unit, alongside established state police forces. Money from the Interior Ministry budget was diverted to pay for the SS expansion. Now, many of the part-time SS men could become full-time employees of the German state. SS units around the country were established on a permanent basis with battalions or political readiness squads being set up in every major city for so-called heavy police tasks. These were, in effect, paramilitary squads, which owed their loyalty directly to Hitler. The SA organization by the end of 1933 had mushroomed to 3 million men, and Hitler was looking for ways to bring it under his control. A crucial development was the setting up in Berlin in March 1933 of a new elite grouping within the SS under the command of one of Hitler's old henchmen from Munich. Josef Sepp Dietrich was an old party crony of Hitler, whom he trusted implicitly. The new group was initially only 120 men strong and was dubbed the SS Stabswacht Berlin. Its job was to guard Hitler and his official residence in the Reich Chancellery. In September 1933, it became the SS Leibstandarte Adolf Hitler, or SS Bodyguard Regiment Adolf Hitler. And in November that year, members of this new Life Guard swore an oath of loyalty unto death to their new Führer. Under the leadership of Dietrich, the Leibstandarte would later rise to be Germany's premier armored division. However, in its early days, the unit would gain infamy for its role in one of Hitler's first extra-legal acts as he moved to establish his dictatorship.
شما می‌بینید که الان مرکز فساد امریکا را جوان‌ها رفتن گرفتن و امریکایی هم که در اونجا بوده گرفتن و اون لانه فساد را به دست آوردن و امریکا هم هیچ غلطی نمی‌تونه بکنه.
In January of 1979, the Shah of Iran fled to the U.S. after losing control of his country to Islamic radicals.
I was taken outside, and the hordes were already out there screaming, death to the hostages.
Soon after, on November 4th, 1979, Colonel Charles Scott, one of the 52 people at the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, was taken hostage after a mob had ransacked the grounds. Throughout their captivity, embassy personnel were subjected to torture and harassment.
I was beaten, and I was hung by my wrists.
At first, the Ayatollah Khomeini opposed the embassy seizure, but quickly changed his mind once he realized he could use the seizure to unite his country while declaring himself Iran's new leader. The hostages were taken in hopes of forcing the U.S. to return the Shah to stand trial. Following the Shah's death from medical complications, Iran changed their demands to an apology from the U.S., immunity from reprisals, the release of Iran's assets, and a pledge of no future U.S. interference in Iran. 5 months into the hostage crisis, President Carter ordered a rescue attempt using the Army's Delta Force. The bold plan called for 8 U.S. helicopters to rendezvous in the Iranian desert and launch a covert raid on the embassy, rescuing the hostages. But the plan ended as 3 helicopters were not operational and the mission was aborted. As U.S. helicopters withdrew, one struck a transport plane, with both exploding, killing 8 U.S. servicemen. The mission had failed.
It was my decision to attempt the rescue operation. It was my decision to cancel it when problems developed in the placement of our rescue team for a future rescue operation. The responsibility is fully my own.
And the chances of Jimmy Carter's re-election disappeared that fateful night. Ronald Reagan won the election that year, promising to finish the job against Iran. After 444 days of captivity, on January 20th, 1980, on the very day and very hour of his inauguration as America's 40th president, Iran released the American hostages. You're watching An American Moment on Newsmax TV.
Attention, cancer victims who were in New York on or after 9/11. If you or a loved one were in Lower Manhattan during the 9/11 tragedy or during the 11 months afterward and were later diagnosed with any of these or other cancers, you may be entitled to a substantial settlement. A $10 billion compensation fund is in place for these cancer victims. Do not wait to file your claim. Call now and speak with us. The call is confidential and free, or reach us online at worldtradecenterfund.com.
This right here is confidence in a bottle.
It makes me feel so much more confident than I've ever felt.
They are some Of the hottest videos on social media, those videos claiming to instantly get rid of bags under your eyes. Annette Figueroa is here to tell us why she says this one is for real.
This one is for real, and I'm so excited. We even have a video, and all he uses is a small amount on a clean, dry face. And what it does is it tightens and lifts the appearance of bags underneath your eyes. And I did this to my father. We were at home, so we applied it to his under eye bags, and let me tell you, we were so excited. And under 10 minutes, they visibly disappeared from view, and now it is literally part of both of our daily routines. And not only does it work on the bags, it works on the appearance of crow's feet, fine lines, and wrinkles.
At our $14.95 price, it's the best way to try Plexiderm and see it work after your first application. Call the number on your screen.
Call 800-316-6394.
I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. God wants to heal you and make you whole. You only need to seek His guidance and let Him in. Psychologist, Navy veteran, and former member of Congress, Dr. Tim Murphy, presents The Christ Cure. Find inspiration, guidance, and techniques to start healing through faith. You need this valuable handbook. Get your free copy now. Call the number on your screen or go online to order.
By June 1934, Hitler had outwitted most political opponents, banned all parties except for the Nazis, and placed his supporters in key positions in the German government. The SA remained the last bastion of potential opposition to Hitler, and he was soon to neutralize this threat. He had decided to remove the socialist elements from the party. Hitler carefully concocted a bogus coup plot involving Röhm and other SA leaders. Orders were issued for the plotters to be arrested. The Leibstandarte and SS units provided the force for the operation. Hitler himself led the raid in Munich that caught Röhm and several of his key lieutenants. Sepp Dietrich then oversaw their execution in Stadelheim prison by a Leibstandarte firing squad. A rising SS star, Theodor Eicke, the inspector of concentration camps, shot Röhm after he refused to commit suicide. In Berlin, other SS units arrested some 150 SA leaders. They were then shot 4 at a time by a Leibstandarte firing squad in Berlin's Lichterfelde barracks. The total number of people killed in the so-called Blood Purge, or Night of the Long Knives, is still unclear, but it was probably nearly 200. Most were SA cronies of Röhm, but some were leading political opponents of Hitler, such as General Kurt von Schleicher, the last chancellor of the Weimar Republic. The audacious nature of the killings and the lack of response from Hindenburg confirmed Hitler's place as the supreme political power in Germany. Within weeks, the president was dead, and Hitler assumed the powers of his office. He declared himself to be the German Führer. He then forced army officers to take an oath of loyalty to him rather than to the German Constitution. Hitler removed the SS from control of the SA as a reward for their loyalty during the Blood Purge. Himmler's SS became an independent organization. During the next 2 years, Himmler proved himself an archetypal Nazi baron, expanding his organization and personal power. Hitler made great efforts to keep his subordinates squabbling among themselves by setting up rival power structures that ensured they had to come to him to broker disputes. So, even though Himmler was nominally boss of the SS, it was in turn broken up into competing fiefdoms. The first major reorganization of the SS occurred in March 1935, when Hitler formally announced the establishment of the first armed SS units. The term Waffen-SS, Waffen is translated as armed, would not come into widespread usage until early 1940. The description of these units had to be carefully packaged. This was done not to upset the army generals. They had been promised a year earlier that the Wehrmacht would be Germany's sole arms bearer. This was in return for their support during the Blood Purge against the SA. The armed SS units were used for special internal tasks allotted by the Fuhrer. The SS was described as a militarized force ready for police action within the Reich boundaries when dissident forces are too strong for the normal security services. The armed SS was initially termed the SS Verfügungstruppe, or SSVT. These so-called special disposal troops included all the old heavy police units that were grouped into 3 regiments, or Standarten. In Berlin, an expanded Leibstandarte formed the core of one of these new regiments. While the units in Munich became the Deutschland Regiment in October 1933, those in Hamburg were formed into the Germania Regiment in August 1934. These were the 3 original regiments of the armed SS that would form the nucleus of the force's armored divisions during the war years. Himmler was keen to provide the new SSVT with the best training and weapons, so he persuaded a number of ambitious army officers to transfer to the new force to provide a corps of professional officers. The most famous of these was Paul Hauser, who was appointed the commander of the SSVT. In 1936, he was given a headquarters staff, dubbed the SSVT Inspectorate, to coordinate the growth of the military arm of the SS. Hauser was also in charge of the first SS Officer Cadet, or Junker School at Bad Tolz, which was set up in 1935 to train a new type of SS officer. Bad Tolz and a second Junkerschule at Braunschweig turned out a generation of aggressive officers that would rise to command the SS armored divisions during World War II. At the same time as the SSVT was set up, Himmler also established a rival branch, eventually dubbed the SS Totenkopfverbände, SSTV, or Death's Head units. This branch was the responsibility of the head of the concentration camp guard force, Eicke, who set up the first of these infamous camps at Dachau, outside Munich, in 1933. By early 1938, in addition to guarding a string of prison camps around Germany, which held thousands of inmates in poor conditions, the SSTV mustered 3 regiments of fully motorized troops equipped with light weapons. The Oberbayern Regiment was based at Dachau in Bavaria. The Brandenburg Regiment operated from Oranienburg concentration camp outside Berlin, and the Thüringen Regiment ran the Buchenwald camp near Weimar. It was intended that they would reinforce the SSVT troops in times of crisis, but this arrangement also allowed Himmler and Hitler to pit rival SS officers against each other. Eicke was a brutal thug who showed no pity toward the inmates of his camps. He indoctrinated his men to believe they were responsible for imprisoning Germany's most dangerous enemies and instructed them to show no mercy. The most minor infringements of his camp rules were to be dealt with by severe beatings and other forms of torture. This period also saw Himmler move to spread the tentacles of the SS into every sphere of German life. In June 1936, Hitler designated Himmler as head of the unified German police system, as well as head or Reichsführer of the SS and chief of the secret police, the infamous Geheimstaatspolizei, or Gestapo. In this capacity, the SS became responsible for all the apparatus of the Nazi police state. Its members were now the masters of terror in Hitler's Germany. By 1939, all the security police organizations of Hitler's Third Reich were brought under the control of Himmler's loyal henchman, Reinhard Heydrich, via the Reich Central Security Office. This included the SD, the Gestapo, the ordinary criminal police, and security police. Heydrich epitomized the Nazi police state. He was ambitious, ruthless, and totally loyal to Hitler. As well as its armed and security branches, the SS also eventually boasted unusual organizations such as the SS Marriage Bureau. This was known as the Central Office for Race and Resettlement, which had the responsibility of confirming the racial purity of the brides of SS men. There was also the German Racial Assistance Office, which was charged with protecting the well-being of ethnic Germans living outside the borders of the Reich. These groups then helped in the establishment of the Reich Office for the Consolidation of the German Nationhood, which was nominally responsible for the movement of ethnic Germans back into Reich territory. But it was really a cover for the deportation and eventual extermination of Jews, Slavs, and other groups considered Untermenschen, or subhumans, by Hitler. It finally spawned the SS Economic and Administrative Central Office, which was in charge of the concentration camp system and the final solution of the Jewish problem. The leaders of these organizations developed bland euphemisms for the mass murder of most of Europe's Jews. By the end of the 1930s, the SS organization had ballooned to some 200,000 men, of whom the vast majorities were in its police, security, and concentration camp guard units rather than in the SSVT. During this period, the SS became central to Hitler's folk myth, with senior figures in the organization being portrayed as Nordic gods in Nazi propaganda. The racial purity of SS recruits was given great prominence, and Hitler tried to build on this as a way to indoctrinate the German people with his theories of racial superiority. The SS also had its own rank system that gave members prestige and power over ordinary mortals in the army, the Nazi Party, and in civilian branches of government. The growth of the armed SS during the later years of the 1930s was one of slow evolution. Much of the groundwork for the development of the armed SS was undertaken in great secrecy to allow the opposition of the Army High Command to be bypassed or ignored. Hitler was still unwilling to stage an open confrontation with the Army's generals and preferred to dispose of problematic commanders in a series of dirty tricks operations to discredit individuals who opposed him. The early development of the armed SS was characterized by a series of deals with the Army High Command.
It was the world's tallest building for 11 months, until the Empire State Building came along, but many regard the Chrysler Building as one of Manhattan's most beautiful skyscrapers. This jewel of Art Deco architecture was personally built and paid for by automobile manufacturer Walter Chrysler, who envisioned it as a nice inheritance to pass to his children. It also housed the Chrysler headquarters. Chrysler worked with architect William Van Allen on many of the finer details. It was the 1920s, during America's romance with industry and machines. Gargoyles modeled after hood ornaments found on many Chrysler products stand guarding the building's distinct crown. Radiator caps adorn the corners of the 31st floor. The terraced arches, which gleam in the Manhattan skyline, are clad in stainless steel. Rows of triangular windows create a sunburst pattern that gives the Chrysler a sparkle and pop in the midday sun. For decades, the well-heeled enjoyed the Cloud Club, a Tudor retreat on 3 of the highest floors. They puffed cigars, dined in style, and watched a private stock ticker. The club closed in 1979 and is now private residences. The Chrysler family sold the building in 1953, but it remains the world's tallest steel-supported brick building. And while the original viewing gallery on the 71st floor is no longer open to visitors, the best view is enjoyed from here, of an Art Deco masterpiece celebrating America's industry and innovation. I'm Lucy Celia, and this is An American Place on Newsmax TV.
Hey everyone, Emerald Lagasse here, and I'm so excited to tell you about my biggest air fryer yet.
Introducing Emerald Lagasse's Dual Zone Air Fryer Oven with dual-sided cooking chambers. Now you can cook 2 different foods 2 different ways that finish at the same time. No more back-to-back cooking. Now main dish and sides finish at the same time. Enjoy juicy grilled burgers at the same time as air-fried French fries. Broiled savory salmon at the same time as roasted asparagus. Broiled chicken paw